Hello, friends, and welcome back to Style Esports. We are here with a weekend tournament series, and things are going to be a little different this time. It's best of ones through the night, and we're going to start off with NWE Delta versus Chaotic Surge. I'm Nyarko on play-by-play, and I'm joined by InigoMontoya on color. How you doing tonight?
Hello, hello. Doing pretty all right. Had a little bit of difficulty trying to get this game going, a little bit of lobby issues with the bots, but after that, ready to get this game going in between Chaotic Surge and NWE Delta, New World Esports. So, should be a very fun game to see here.
For sure. A lot of interesting faces on both sides. We just casted Chaotic Surge last weekend, I believe, or was it this week? Everything is blending together for me in this kind of hyperbaric time chamber. But regardless, I recognize Yusuf. That is that Elise mid player that we saw absolutely jam it the first game. And then they came back with a very different look for the second round and dominated there as well. But NWE Delta has some faces I've casted before. Goaty and Nuffies in particular are two very, very strong players. And I'm happy to see how they'll stack up.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a very fun game. We've already seen Chaotic Surge 2-0 within this week. Chaotic Surge definitely knowing what champions to pick and how to play this game, seeing them both pick that early game damage dealers as well as that late game, Azir anti-engage. So it should be very fun. We already have this draft going. Chaotic Surge taking out Olaf and Darius, while New World Esports taking out Caitlyn, Viego, and Jax. And that
Pretty
VAR is coming out from Chaotic Surge as well.
Yeah, pretty standard bans all a while. These kind of high priority ADCs off the table, and hopefully this means we're going to get a bit of action. Hopefully not in the form of Lucian Nami, something a little bit more interesting, but at least it won't just be a turbo poke fest with a Caitlyn versus Varus that we see so often. In WWE Delta, though, going for a pretty standard first pick, it's that Maokai who, even in 13.1b with this reduced wave clear or jungle clear speed, has still climbed to the top of the priority charts. But Chaotic Surge looking for something new with that Jarvan hover.
Yeah, Jarvan. Haven't seen too much Jarvan this season so far. So definitely is going to be a new pick that don't have too much commentary on, but just purely based off of the Jarvan combinations that you're able to put out. He does have a lot of CC, a lot of knockup, really lockdown potential that he can put into any team comp. So he's never really a bad champion to pick. Is never really that weak, just purely based off of the skills he's able to put out, regardless of his damage or his health. And
And the
with that,
Nami hover to follow up on that from Chaotic Surge's side. This is a pretty interesting gambit. We see them actually do this before, where they go for Nami plus a jungler instead of just grabbing Lucian Nami. But NWE isn't going to take the bait. They aren't just going to grab Lucian for themselves to split up this synergy. So with it, the Ashe selected, I think that we're probably going to be getting a little bit more passive of a bot lane from Blue Squad side.
yeah, Amethyst has been able to show that he can play that Ashe as a support. Typically, he would pick it with the Varus. So having that Varus band out on the Chaotic Surge side is definitely a very strong band to just counter out that. And looks like we actually see that Ezreal instead. So definitely, as you're saying, a very passive bot lane, not looking too much to fight, especially into that Nami, possibly Illusion. More of that mid-game damage. Definitely a little bit early on, as we were saying. Uh, but yeah, trying to make sure that they stay in that game, stay in the mid game, late game, and really just get those items going before they actually have to full-on fight in these team fights. So it should be a very passive game, and maybe looking a little bit more towards that mid and top lane pressure.
And Chaotic Surge is just going to lock in that Lucian, solidifying the bot lane matchup between NWE Delta and Red Squad. I do like this, even though both of these champions have been taken down a peg. I do believe that the nerfs were such that Lucian still has presence and is actually kind of transitioning a little bit more into a mid-game champion alongside Nami, just going for pick and catch potential around neutral objectives. So I think they'll be able to hang with Ezreal for a long while, although eventually I do think Cherry Coke is going to get the better of the scaling. We're moving into the second ban phase now. Cassante knocked away by Chaotic Surge alongside the Ari. NWE Delta going to ban Shen.
Yeah, NWE has definitely shown that they love to play a lot of damage in that top and mid game. Or sorry, that top and mid lane. So Cassante being the only true tank that Lonely Meat has actually really been able to put out too much on, already taken away. So that means he's going to be going for that AD, that AP, or a bruiser possibly at the most. Mid lane also loving those assassins, those very staple picks of like Azir, Victor, but definitely outputting a lot of damage and hitting for that DPS. So I think Chaotic Surge understands that that's going to be the name of the game in these lanes. So they're going to be playing a little bit more passive probably, but I'm hoping that that mid lane for Chaotic Surge is going to have that counter pick and be able to really stomp that lane out, especially at that Jarvan as a jungler as well.
Personally hope that we see Lee Sin versus Elise mid, as Nuffy's is proposing in the in-game chat right now. Yusuf hasn't responded quite yet, but I want it to be less a counter pick, Inigo, and more just a straight up bizarre matchup between two champions that you often don't see in that role. Camille going to come out as the response to the Ornn, and so now it is going to go mid runner between NW and Chaotic Surge. Let's see what comes out.
Yeah, Chaotic Surge, definitely the top lane for Chaotic Surge, as we've seen this week already. He may play those tanks, but he knows the damage on those champions. So even if he is playing those more of those damage soakers, damage tankers, he is still able to take out those 1v1 abilities and make sure that Camille is not always just the safest pick here. And looks like we're not going to see that Elise as we wanted. Or sorry, the Lee Sin as we wanted. So the Elise Lee Sin, not going to happen in that mid lane. But Elise may still come out. As we already saw, like he is extremely skilled on that champion, Yusuf just being the absolute pioneer for that champion mid lane.
I do think that it would be a little bit BM to pick Elise after not interacting with NWE's side throughout the champion select, but it does look like they will pivot away from that. Go for something very safe and very stable, although maybe not the highest peaking overall. It's the Malzahar, and this is just something you don't see a lot of in competitive.
Yeah, definitely a very interesting pick. I would not have thought that the Malzahar would be the pick here. I can see some of the potential, especially these full ins, Camille, Azir, making sure that they get those champions and they're not able to deal out all of the damage that they want to deal out. But there is a slight lack of DPS on the side of Chaotic Surge. Obviously, you have that Lucian, the Nami, being able to put out, tons of damage, but
Mhm.
it is just definitely a lot of reliability having to be on them to be the main damage dealers for this team. Whereas New World Esports has just a lot of potential in a bunch of lanes. Azir, Camille, even the Ezreal in that late game just be able to throw out those Qs over and over non-stop. So I think there's just a little bit more reliability into one lane for Chaotic Surge.
That's definitely a concern that I have going into this one. Chaotic Surge really just kind of putting everything on the back of getting a good early game for that Lucian Nami. I think that we're going to be seeing a lot of priority paid down there. Malzahar could even roam, very good at pushing out these waves versus the Azir, and could just try to set up for a free R press to shut down and lock down Ezreal versus Ashe. And that could help follow up into kills for Chaotic Surge's side. But outside of those kinds of rotations coming to pass, I do think the NWE Delta just have a much better mid to late game, mostly because they actually have damage to work through some of these tanks on Chaotic Surge's side. The same cannot be said for the likes of Maokai. Really, if this Lucian can't do a whole lot, it's going to be that champion kind of running wild without any real way to take down or chop down the tree.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely hard to do. Malzahar can only do so much with this possibly Liandry's demonic type of idea. Uh, I'm not sure exactly the Malzahar build. It might be Rod of Ages, but Liandry's definitely looking very good in this game right now. But as you were saying, chopping down that tree is just going to be the hardest thing if Lucian does not get that early lead, does not get those objectives and those that gold advantage over the Ezreal. So I think there's probably going to be a lot of potential going into that bot lane for the J4, trying to get Lucian ahead. But we are seeing it. It is Ezreal, so it is that safer lane having to play against. So if Ashe is not pushing up too far, Ashe is not making those mistakes, it's going to be a very hard lane to actually, you know, take down as a Jarvan here.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that this really calls into question the high priority that Chaotic Surge put on Jarvan during this draft phase. It doesn't seem like it's a specific counter to the Maokai. So what is Chaotic Surge playing at by grabbing that so early, making sure that it doesn't get banned away or something like that? It could just be that they wanted to buy space to see what NWE Delta was trying to do bot side of the map, but you're still showing your hand with the Nami. So overall, it's a little bit confusing as to what Red Squad was trying to do, but still, they come through with, I think, a passable draft. And this is still definitely a team that can win if they perform at the level that they did earlier this week.
Yeah, even with that losing, or what we expected to be a losing team composition in the last game, they still brought it out in the end, just with superior, superior skills overall in these champions and being able to pilot them to the best of their ability. And even if they are behind in draft, they are still ahead in skill. So it will be interesting to see how these lanes go and which team ends up getting this early lead and potentially this early win for the round one.
Precisely. Inigo, I think that we got to throw it to a quick break to wait out the rest of the spectator delay, but I think that this is a clearly really impressive matchup. Both of these teams have storied players on their sides, and I'm really excited to see how they match up against one another on the Rift. We don't get the Lee Sin Elise, but we get some interesting picks nonetheless. The Malzahar coming out for the first time in what feels like forever, alongside that Jarvan for Chaotic Surge. Let's see what happens. Hello, friends, and welcome back to Style Esports. Apologies for yet another tech delay. We are 4 minutes into the game, and already the score is 1-1. Not exactly sure what happened topside, but God knows both of them died.
Yeah, we had a little problem with the game crashing and having to get the bot back into the game. So unfortunately, it logged in at 4 minutes. But this is the state of the game that we are in right now. A strong showing from both sides already, even up at 5 minutes. No real lead going to either side, but a little bit of a CS lead going into the side of Lucian on the bot lane and Camille on the top lane. And that is where we're at right now.
And these CS leads are pretty much expected. Camille going to just bully the Ornn early, shred through that tank. But honestly, Scrugg is doing a good job playing very confidently here, actually taking heavy trades versus Lonely Me. And in some cases, like right now, coming out on top, forcing the back out of the Scissor Lady.
Yeah, possibly forcing out that TP coming out from Camille, albeit not meaning really too much anymore. But if she does get another set of bad trades, this could be a disaster into the lane, having to double reset without having that TP up. So it's going to be interesting to be able to see these lanes. Looks like we're going to have just a very calm lane as we expected in this bot lane. Ezreal and Ashe playing very safe, not trying to get into any of those predicaments that Lucian and Nami are just waiting for, trying to get these extra leads like we're talking about. But looks like it's just going to be a safe game overall.
Verticality and Banjito maybe trying to do a little bit of cheese, but sitting on a ward, just getting poked by Amethyst. That is the power of Ezreal Ashe. Even though there is a considerable CS advantage for Verticality right now, there isn't a whole lot of kill pressure against these two champions. Ezreal able to just arcane shift backwards, did not even take cleanse. They're feeling so confident about their ability to just absorb pressure bot side of the map. We'll see if that's going to change though, as Dragon is up, and now this could be a target for Chaotic Surge as they continue to get priority. There's the bubble we're talking about. Amethyst having to heal back up and walk towards the tier 1, and that's going to provide a lot of space for Verticality and Banjito to work with. Top side of the map, Lonely Me getting a gank, going to throw out their Hextech ultimatum, but Dark Torch able to clean it up.
Yeah, as you're... Oh, and even more Verticality going in right there.
Yeah, and that's a really good play. Cherry Coke gonna flash forward onto Banjito to dodge the bubble, trying to get another revenge kill for their fallen support, but can't turn it into a 2-for-1. Overall, it's going to be favorable for Chaotic Surge. They go up 1 kill and a little bit of gold.
Yeah, Chaotic Surge, with all that pressure going into the bot lane, Lucian and Nami being able to apply that pressure for free without ever needing Driver to make his way down. It was just a strong showing, allowing Dark Torch to be able to make that play top lane, kill that Camille, and get some gold flowing into the waiting arms of Chaotic Surge. And yeah, like you were saying, Verticality and Banjito putting a lot of pressure down, and also a little bit of a lead that they also put into that fight was that the fact that they did that entire fight not under the pressure of the turret. So a lot of those minions went to the turret shots going down there and not into the pocket of Ezreal. So just a little bit of an extra lead there that Chaotic Surge is able to put out during that fight in bot lane.
And one of the other things that we see is that Chaotic Surge is getting priority basically everywhere now because of a really well-placed gank topside. Dark Torch able to now rotate down, get that dragon, but as that's happening, Scrugg pushes the wave out and is able to get the flash out of Goaty in their own jungle. Bot side of the map, Dark Torch is here, gonna flag and drag forward, get the knock up onto Cherry Coke. Here comes a True Shot Barrage, fired off at the Nami, but it will not land cleanly, and so Blue Squad will have to back off, but Chaotic Surge can't pick up a kill, even with 4 members down there.
Yeah, Malzahar just a little bit too late to the party there, and Banjito getting a little bold without the support of Verticality or Dark Torch being there just in case. And so already that gank was just not looking too good with Banjito taking the blunt end of all of that damage. So it may lead to another return gank from J4, still on this bot side, but probably not with the minion waves definitely going top. And I may be mistaken, Verticality going a lot of damage there.
Dark Torch has the Cataclysm available, just going to jump down onto Goaty, who doesn't have their ultimate quite yet, and because of that, the culling is enough to finish off the tree, man. Amethyst having to rush back towards that tower, getting poked along the way, and we were talking about what Chaotic Surge needed to do in this early game in Inigo, and it seems to be working out fantastically now. This Lucian at 2-1 is very scary.
Yeah, Dark Torch being in just the right place, right time, not worrying about that full clear and just getting that bot led ahead, like you were saying. Make sure that that early lead goes into the pockets of Lucian Nami. And Verticality just not afraid of these fights, not afraid of going in front of his team and dishing out all of that damage. Ash taking a massive blow before that fight even really started, and Maokai just absolutely caught out with Dark Torch and Verticality there to take control of that fight.
Across the map, Chaotic Surge have found themselves a very comfortable 1,500 gold lead from virtually nothing but just solid laning top and mid. Bot lane, we saw a little bit more action, another kill picked up, but across the board, Chaotic Surge, I think, are doing a really good job just stabilizing each of these matchups, and I think that they're getting enough income now where that question about damage in that mid to late period is going to be a whole lot less of a concern. They really now have a very good front to back that they can play off of, especially with Scrug doing as well as they are versus Lonely Me.
Yeah, on the opposite side, we haven't really talked about Scrug a little too much into these lanes. But yeah, Scrug has been holding his own, like you were saying earlier, and making sure that Camille does not get that lead that she technically has. Ash hitting that arrow onto Yusef here, and it may.
Nuffy's immediately going to throw out the Emperor's Divide, but this Malzahar, without even having to flash, just calmly walks towards that topside river. Because Dark Torch is playing off of vision, it's a little bit difficult to know where the Jarvan is, and they could easily try to counter gank. Goaty is going to follow a little bit, recognized now the J4 is on Shelly. We'll see if this turns into anything, but as it stands, it looks like Chaotic Surge are going to make out like bandits.
Yeah, Dark Torch stealing that Rift's Herald, or sorry, that Rift Herald underneath the nose of Goaty and Nuffy's. So that, or like you were saying, that mid play just does not lead to anything of any worth. Malzahar just being able to walk out, and Dark Torch is really taking over in this game, just taking the objectives, making sure that his team is without or with the support that they need for these counter engages, making sure that Scrug gets this lead early. And as we were saying earlier, Scrug is just doing a very good job and make sure that Camille is not getting that lead, not being able to get those solo kills that we know Camille can do by herself.
It really feels almost like a chicken and the egg phenomenon, because Scrug getting ahead is due to Dark Torch's influence on the map for sure, but Dark Torch is getting great influence because of their play topside, getting that pressure. Meanwhile, mid, we got some action. Here comes the Nature's Grass, gonna root up both of Chaotic Surge's jungle and mid lane, and now Nuffy's, who was originally getting aggressed upon, will be able to turn this around and get a pick down onto the Jarvan, and with the stabby stab and follow-up from Amethyst to keep the lockup onto Yusef, they in fact get a double kill.
Yeah, what looked like a excellent play from the side of Chaotic Surge ends up being a drastic difference. 2 kills going over to the side of New World Esports. That Ash Arrow Amethyst has not missed, hitting almost every single one of them aside, I think, for one mid lane. But yeah, just Yusef being the absolute brute of all of these arrows. This true shot. I'm sorry, this enchanted arrow just finding the mark every single time and leading to that double kill.
And one of the things to note is that this is a really good continuity between the mid and support that I didn't expect. Nuffy's on this Azir is able to do a lot to continually break Yusuf's spell shield, and that's what allows for the enchanted crystal arrow to land and actually stun this champion up. And this actually means that the Azir is far more threatening than you'd first suspect in this matchup. You'd think that the Malzahar would just play safe, continuously push this wave, and then help impact the map for Chaotic Surge. But now, when you look at that kill score and you look at the shrinking gold lead on Red Squad side, NWE Delta definitely aren't going down without a fight.
Yeah, Chaotic Surge is putting in a lot of pressure in this lane, but you know, they still do have Dark Torch. He still does have that lead over his opponent, Goaty. So able to get those objectives early on and still control most of the map. It's going to be a fun time being able to see which jungler ends up coming in clutch for some of these fights. The last one definitely going over to Goaty, being able to root up Dark Torch underneath that turret for probably 3 turret shots, I believe. And it will be interesting if they're actually able to turn some of these fight into this bot lane, because verticality, again, Yusef is a good bit of this damage for later on, making sure that these tanks don't get too ahead. Another arrow from Amethyst trying to make the mark. But the large source of damage for these for this game is going to be verticality. So it's going to be important to make sure that he does not continue to get ahead like he's been doing. This still sitting at 2-1. Gale Force already in his pocket.
But you have to wonder, is Verticality doing enough right now to make up for the fact that we are seeing a 2-0 Zir appear in the map and really kind of displace the way that this game is going? This champion is able to do a whole lot, depending on their build path, to burn through Scrug and company. And you just really can't see the same for Chaotic Surge's side. They don't have that same kind of tool in their arsenal unless Verticality continually gets focused. But as it currently stands, they just haven't been able to get a whole lot besides a farm lead versus Cherry Coke. And that pays back to what we were saying before. NWE de-emphasizing their bot lane, ensuring that the Ezreal will still be able to do stuff late. But right now, they're looking for plays elsewhere, including topper. Lonely Me goes for the Hextech ultimatum, but Scrug is able to survive with the Call of the Forge God, repelling the Scissor Lady. She has to back off, and now the Forge God gets a reset. Bot side of the map, here's the crossplay from Chaotic Surge, and Cherry Coke is playing safe, but not safe enough to deal with the tier 2 tower dive. The Cataclysm, followed up by Verticality, is going to get another kill over to CS, although this one goes to the Jarvan.
Yeah, I think the side of Chaotic Surge is definitely hearing the stream right now, being able to hear you calling him out and saying if they're not doing enough. So they decide to take that in stride, taking 2 turrets and the side of Cherry Coke underneath that turret. So it is definitely, as you were saying, he does need to be doing more, and it looks like he is just going to be on that path of making sure that they get that damage and that pressure around the map. Now being able to switch to that top side and making sure Camille still has that fight having to go for. Yeah, Scrug is not really holding up too much anymore against Lonely Me, having to lose some of those fights and having to make sure that he's playing safe underneath that turret, as we're seeing just Camille being able to trade over and over into him. So now that these lanes have swapped, it should be a little bit of an easier time for Ornn actually being able to make sure that he stays with these minions, trying to get to that level 14 as fast as possible, upgrading these items for Lucian, Malzahar. But yeah, especially with this Rift Herald possibly coming up again, now you have your strongest side on the side of the next objective. Albeit it is the second Rift Herald, it is strong to make sure that you keep these early objectives going for your
Oh,
team. And
Cody's
just
in
as we
so much
say,
trouble. Yeah, Nature's Grasp just not going to do anything impactful to save the Maokai. He's picked off in his own jungle, and now Chaotic Surge is just able to walk top, get Verticality, even more farm and pressure. And yeah, this is going to be a Rift Herald picked up yet again by Chaotic Surge to further this gold lead and further their momentum in this game. They're over 3,000 gold ahead of the NWE at this point.
yeah, having that strong lane on the side of the Rift Herald coming up, Goaty had no idea that they were going into his jungle and killing him before he could even spawn, giving them that free objective. So it is, again, one of those times where you're just going to be able to see Lucian, Nami into every single one of these fights. And as long as they are alive, they are a threat. Now 3-1, 2 items up onto the side of Verticality. And he is a threat that will have to be watched for the side of New World Esports.
And the other dynamic you really got to watch out for is the fact that Chaotic Surge are just deathballing themselves off the back of Verticality and Dark Torch. And so there isn't really a lane that's safe to get farm in if you're on NWE side, especially if you're a squishy like Cherry Coke. They're always going to be forced back. We see top side, we have a little bit of an engage, though. Verticality going to get hit by the Hextech ultimatum, and Azir's Emperor's Divide is going to help follow up and finally secure the kill of the Lucian for NWE Delta. Goaty from the backline throws down their Nature's Grasp, but Nuffies and Lonely Me are already dead, and Maokai is going to follow. It was good setup, but this is a clear wallet dip now.
Yeah, there's just a lot of ultimates having to be used on Verticality and Vegeta there, but just too many ultimates. They forgot that they actually have to get out of these fights as well. J4 able to knock them into his little walls there in Cataclysm, and Ornn being able to use that Ornn Horn to bring down the Forge of the God into them. So yeah, a lot of the pressure, as we're saying, Verticality being the main damage dealer on the side of Chaotic Surge, but you can't forget the side of Yusef, even Ornn being able to dish out a lot of damage in that fight as well. Even Dark Torch, I think he's going that more of that bruiser build with Gore Drinker, so he's also going to be able to dish out that damage until it becomes later on. But
And this isn't to say that NWE didn't get anything in that topside play. It was still about as even of a fight as you could hope for, given the gold deficit. But they aren't coming back. They're just still giving Chaotic Surge gold with every single play. Maybe slightly less and slightly less optimal than you would expect for Red Squad overall. But that was a best case scenario. And unfortunately, now we're seeing that gold lead extend to about 5,000 in favor of Red Team. And at the 18-minute mark, this game is looking more and more disadvantaged for NWE.
Verticality having an excellent play in that mid lane, being able to go in and flash out for that kill on Amethyst. Almost got Cherry Coke as well. So yeah, like that money difference is just making the drastic changes in these fights, these itemizations coming out. Scrug now actually being able to get these upgrades. Primordial Dawn coming out, and now the next one probably going to be onto Verticality as well, turning up that Gale Force into a little bit more worth. So this game just gets a little bit harder for them as it goes on for the next few minutes as Ornn gets this
Look,
solo gold,
damage!
these solo
Verticality's
XP.
bringing to the table. Nuffies jumps forward to try to save their support, but the Emperor's Divide will not connect because of the Flash Cleanse. But Chaotic Surge only get one off that play. This provides them the space to continue to siege. Banjito with the wave over the wall, but NWE will respect it.
Yeah. Sorry. I think you might be a little.
Do you think I've desynced here, or?
I think a little bit. 220 is about the call right now.
Sorry, do you mean 22 minutes, or?
20, 30, 20, 31, 32.
Okay, yeah, give me a sec. I am desynced. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, I'm not sure quite what happened in that right there, but we do have an excellent Baron fight coming out right now. Lonely Me trying to go in and kill Banjito, but actually being knocked out herself. Knocked out of the fight, not quite by life just yet. Amethyst getting knocked up, hitting by the Nami bubble. And a whole lot of damage coming out, but not a whole lot of kills just yet. Amethyst falling. Lonely Me now falling as well. These low health bars are now turning into kills for the side of Chaotic Surge. And it looks like it's going to be a 3-for-none for the side of Chaotic Surge, and the Baron going over to their side as well.
So yeah, as we're saying, for NWE. Do you know where we are time-wise? I'm at like 258. 2058.
21:30. Or
Okay.
21, 27, 20, 28, 29, 30.
All right. Hopefully, I'll be somewhat synced. I'm at 21:33, 21:34, 35 now.
Yeah.
So
Should be pretty close.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Oh, all good, all good. But yeah, that was a excellent swing for the side of Chaotic Surge. Now these Ornn items are coming out. The Gore Drinker actually being the first item upgraded, and this game just became so much harder for New World Esports to actually play into. This Lucian just gaining so much damage from these new items coming out.
And I think that one of the things that we are really kind of underestimating when it came to the composition analysis was the fact that Scrug is going to help short up the damage output late for Verticality and Yusuf because of those ornaments. We are able to see this Ornn really just kind of straddle the line, provide a lot of insurance for Chaotic Surge's side, as we do see Amethyst get picked mid yet again. Dark Torch now bot side of the map, trying to make a play onto Lonely Me. Here's the call of the Forge God. It's a double knock of Fiesta. Camille has to throw out the Hextech ultimatum, but has nowhere to go. Trying to kite back, but Verticality is on the flank to get the final shot down. And so now with two picked off, it's really just a free tower buffet for Chaotic Surge. All of these separate lanes are going to get shoved.
Yeah, we definitely forgot to bring into the fact that these ornaments are going to be a very crucial difference in some of these late game fights. Another idea that I expected Dark Torch to go a little bit more tanky on this build, but going into that Black Cleaver, that Gore Drinker, and even another Phage coming out as well, giving him a lot of damage to be able to go into that backline and try and almost knock out Nuffies, maybe even Amethyst, Cherry Coke. Even with just that ultimate, being able to at least get them to half health for Verticality to be able to sweep it up. Banjito trying to hit these knockups as well. So some of these extra just items, this extra damage coming out, is all that is really needed for the side of Chaotic Surge to take out these champions in these later fights.
And so it really looks like it's just going to be one more big setup, and a pick like this could be what starts it. Lonely Me gonna get hit by the Nami bubble to keep the lockup. Dark Torch gets the kill. Verticality will mow down Amethyst on the back line. Here comes Yusuf's ultimate gig, the double over to the Lucian, make it a triple in fact, and this is looking like the end of the game. Chaotic Surge dominant from minute one, rolling through NWE Delta to claim a victory in this tournament.
Yeah, it was a strong showing from the side of Chaotic Surge. Goaty just trying to make sure that his team is able to stay in it, but these minions staying alive does not help his cause. And it looks like it will lead to the Nexus falling for the side of Chaotic Surge. And it was just, as you're saying, a strong showing from the side from minute one that we got in, probably minute 5 more so. But just being able to take over, Lucian Nami showing out that damage and making sure that Ashe and Ezreal is not the safe lane that they expected it to be. Just so much damage coming out. These ornaments also making a lot of the difference. And have to give some credit to Dark Torch being able to get these lanes ahead and making sure that, you know, that late game is not what they go into, ending this game before 25 minutes even hits.
Really impressive showing from Chaotic Surge. They're coming back for the second time this week, dressed to impress, and they keep doing it on picks that I think are suboptimal, or compositions that I consider to be suboptimal. So that really gives me pause for thought as to what's going to continue to happen as they move further and further through these brackets of style esports. Will they finally have their comeuppance, or is this really just what the style they're looking for is, and we're just underestimating the ability for them to synergize these otherwise disparate picks?
Yeah, being able to see this team last season, I believe they played in the finals for the top bracket. They did actually end up, I believe they got 3-0'd by the other team, but it has been amazing to be able to see what they're playing, like how they play now, playing into some of these other teams and showing that the skills that they have, it may have been a 3-0 then, but it is definitely would not be one right now. Some of these players just coming out of the underground, making sure that they come back with a vengeance. Dark Torch coming out, verticality showing off, and has just been a great time being able to see them.
For sure. We are going to throw it to a quick break to get into the next game of this best of one series. We will be back very, very shortly. Hello, friends, and welcome back to Style Esports for the Saturday Throwdown. It's going to be Asian Invasion versus Unleashed for the second match of the night. Asian Invasion going to take it away on blue side as we get ready for draft. What are you expecting out of this game, Inigo?
Honestly, not a lot of background knowledge on either of these teams, so honestly, just hoping for a great game overall. If I'm going to be completely honest here.
No, I
But
understand that. I feel like we come into the first game already seeing one of the teams play. The other one I have some history with as well. But here, it's going to be a very different look. And I'm looking to be surprised early on. And already in the ban phase, I am getting a bit of a shock. That's Blitzcrank knocked away by Asian Invasion.
yeah, it should be a very hopefully that was a skill pick from the side of Unleashed. But yeah, we're just going into this game a little bit of a blind. Fortunately, they're actually not able to ban, so it looks like it's going to be a remake of the draft lobby right now. Uh, so yeah, they will be remaking this lobby, so don't really believe what you're seeing right now. But yeah, it should be an interesting fight in between both of these teams. Uh, and I'll try and get these codes going so we can get back into it
Yeah.
the second time today.
And as we stand here waiting to see what both of these teams bust out, I think that we already do get a little bit of insight as to what's happening with that Blitzcrank ban. It kind of indicates to me that there's going to be a little bit of a focus bot side for Asian Invasion, at least on scaling up. They may put high priority on one of these enchanters that really is going to be punished by any small positional errors. Unleashed, on the other hand, may be known for playing some of these more aggressive champions down there. They're going to be banning away Udyr on this second pick ban phase that we're getting coming through in the draft lull. Let's see what the answer is going to be, though, for the other two champs for both sides.
Yeah, focusing on these bot side bans, it looks like there's definitely a lot of picks going straight into the pool of Unleashed, taking out this Blitzcrank, taking out the Sivir. So there's definitely gonna be a lot of pressure as Asian Invasion is afraid of happening for Unleashed, making sure that their bot lane does not get those leads, those skill champions that they're used to being able to play. Especially with that Blitzcrank, giving out a lot of potential of engages. So Karma coming out from the side of Unleashed, making sure that champion does not go to the side of Asian Invasion as well. A
And
very
this kind of
strong pick that we've been able to see go actually into all three lanes, both top, mid, and as the bot lane as well.
Ooh, and that Quinn gonna round out Asian Invasion's first three bans. That is not a champion I see ever picked. So once again, this must be a specialization. But the question is for who? Most likely Bach is dead, the top laner. But it does feel like if you're gonna be playing something ranged in a competitive environment, the Vayne is just gonna be better in that role.
Yeah, Vayne definitely showing a lot of skill to be able to pilot that champion around. But if you have the skill to back it up, that is an absolute menace to any type of tanks that are ever trying to stay in that top lane. uh, some Ornn, Cassante, some of these definitely these very valid picks that are being able to be seen. Maokai as well, definitely afraid. So it will be interesting to see if they actually are able to flex out that Vayne going into the top lane if they are afraid of the Quinn. Caitlyn being the last ban for Unleashed as well.
Yeah, I'm liking the ban from the Caitlyn as well. It kind of cuts back against the ability for Asian Invasion to play safe, which was what one of our reads was going to be for this draft phase. It looks like we're getting focus on jungle and mid first, though, before we see how that side of the map plays out. Kassadin hovered as a response to the Rise that was immediately thrown in alongside the Graves for Unleashed. I do like this pick. I think that it's still very good, even with some subtle alterations in 13.1b, and it's probably going to come out here as the timer ticks down.
Yeah, with these strong change, actually a flex into the Varus instead. They still do have that second pick, able to pick up Kassadin in case they decide to go back onto it. May have not been fully confident in the pick yet, but with a little bit more talking over the next 25 seconds, they may lock it in, like we said. But yeah, a double Rod of Ages mid laners, Rise versus Kassadin. That Rod of Ages being changed into a very powerful item for both of these champions to become out of the woodworks and now coming into the meta to be able to play it over and over. It's been one of the first times I've actually seen both these champions play out against each other. But if I had to give the edge to one of them, I do believe it goes over to Cassie. Correct me if I am wrong.
I definitely think that Kassadin doesn't struggle too much against Ryze in the early game, although Ryze definitely can't put the hurt on in the right hands. But the real value comes from getting those ROAS stacked up. And frankly, Kassadin just has a much higher ceiling than Ryze does once you get to that scaling aspect of the game. I think that it's a very, very good pick as a response to the Blue Man group. We are seeing Leona solidifying Unleashed side, but that's a support picked without their AD carry to back it up. Just reading that they're going to be able to do something against the heavy poke of the Varus. But what I'm kind of surprised by is the fact we don't see an Ash ban from Unleashed as we move into the second phase. They're going to knock out Morgana and Aurelia instead. Meanwhile, Asian Invasion see the Leona, see that they could posture aggressively bot side of the map, and they're immediately going to knock out Tristana and Draven.
Yeah, afraid of these hyper aggressive 80 carries. Draven and Tristana both being taken out, and looks like they're going to be left with just Ezreal. Albeit, if they were going into those very hyper aggressive champions, there were a few left to be able to take over. Samira being open, but it looks like they are going to go for that Ezreal, maybe playing a little bit safer, taking out that champion pool that he may have. And it looks like we actually are going to be able to see that Lulu instead, possibly taking away from that Ashe. So it's not going to be the double poke lane that we are expecting to come out, which may have been definitely a flex over seeing that Leona come out. That poke lane not being quite as prevalent against that champion, the engages just being far too strong for Leona. So they might just be able to play a little bit safer. In that Riven coming out as well, one of those champions that you don't really see that often. So it has to be one of those skill champions that they are just known to be able to play.
Yeah, certainly this feels like a lot of adjustments on both sides, trying to find a compromise in this draft phase. The Ezreal is not the champion I expected to see picked alongside the Leona for Unleashed, but it could just be that one of the signature aggressive picks in the form of the Tristana or Draven was barred from Gordiro. So they decide, let's instead try to pivot, get that Leona freed up, get a very safe AD carry with them, and then this could now set up for jumping onto champions like the Kassadin early on into the game by sending the Leona mid or even top here to really start to aggressive versus this Riven that is now coming out. On the other side, they now see the Ezreal and say, hey, we don't have to play full poke to repel the Leona from getting in. We can go for this Lulu, who still can very much bully a lane if given the opportunity to do so, but this provides a little bit more late game scaling. And finally, at the end here, that Grag is coming through kind of in a flex with the Graves, although Graves top is not something you see super frequently. I think it definitely is playable even into a Riven. We'll see what happens in the client draft, though, to solidify where Unleashed is sending everybody.
Yeah, it will be interesting to be able to see, is Gragas going into that top lane or is it going to be Rise? Two of those champions are actually able to flex that around. Ezreal Leona being, yeah, like you said, one of those strange combinations that is not quite seen that often, but may have just been one of those pivot picks to go around what the other team is doing with theirs. So Riven, definitely one of those champions that you don't see that often as well. It's definitely a lot of comfort picks possibly coming out of this game. So it may just be one of those games where, albeit we may not think it's that strong, just like I think Yusef coming out with that Elise mid this week, one of those pioneers of the champion. It may just be one of those ideas that they come out of it knowing that they know the champion and are just better on it than the opposing team. So it'll be a very good game to be able to watch what team can do what with their comp.
Yeah, you definitely can't put someone onto Riven duty the same way you can Malphite duty. This is a champion that doesn't fit every player. We tried to run, has to be particularly adept at this pick. But the fact it does come out here and the Asian Invasion is showing the confidence to pilot this, I think it leads to a very consistent five-man group as a whole, because Riven's going to be able to carry if they get ahead early. Kassadin is going to be able to carry regardless of if they're put behind as long as they hit level 16. And Varus, Lulu are both going to provide really great backup. Varus is just going to be able to stand behind the Maokai, get a ton of damage down during team fights, and Lulu will just be able to kind of latch onto the Riven, Kassadin, or Varus, whoever gets focused the most. I think Unleashed similarly has a very well-balanced composition. We'll see how much impact this Leona is going to have on the map early, and Ryze in particular is another champion I'm going to be keeping my eye on because its carry potential varies really wildly, I believe, between a Ryze who's ahead and a Ryze who's just been like shut down and put behind, perhaps by very frequently interference from this Maokai. But overall, I think that both of these teams are drafting in a really, really confident manner. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of explosive gameplay between them.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely one of those games that goes later on, especially with this Rise, this Ezreal, the Cassid, and the Varus. Some of these champions that are known to just be able to tear apart teams in that mid and late game. But whenever these teams do, start fighting for these early objectives, it's going to be interesting seeing these 4v4, these 5v5s come out, being able to see this Gragas and Graves, Leona trying to tank up the damage that's coming out from Rise and, Cassid, especially without that level 16 quite being there, and the Varus and Riven having to take over in that early game. Uh, Especially with both these mid laners not really quite turning on until they start getting some of those stacks on their Roas and getting those levels in to be able to spam out those abilities. Uh, but yeah, we will just have to see whenever this game gets in on which team ends up getting the lead early on and turning that into a mid and late game victory.
All right, awesome. Lines in the sand yet again are drawn. And I think that this time around, I have no doubts about either team just being able to grab the bull by its horns, as it were, and really turn the game in their favor. I think that both of these compositions are looking for some really explosive confrontations. And so, with that in mind, we're going to take it to the Rift in just a few moments. Hello, friends, and welcome back to Style Esports. We are here with the Saturday tournament for the ages, as we've already seen one incredibly solid match coming out of some very, very driven teams looking to make it deep into the bracket. Chaotic Surge taking the first dub of the night, and now it's a matchup between Asian Invasion and Unleashed to see who will follow in their footsteps and make it to those hallowed halls of a 1-0 start. Here we are seeing a little bit of cheese coming out from Blue Squad. Riven, though, might get pincered if they show by Hydralisk and Bach is dead, but for the time being, it just looks like the Gragas will back off, and now they're getting chased a little bit by the Sword Lady. There's the nice wall hop off the queue, but Bach is dead, able to just kite back down towards their jungler, and we won't see much more action beyond that.
It looks like it's a little bit of an interesting early on, but it looks like it's not going to actually lead to anything. Sword Lady actually getting a little bit testy here into that Gragas.
Yeah, we tried to run really living up to their name, making sure Bach is dead, has to skedaddle all the way back towards that tier 2 tower. Graves taking that reset means that he won't really be here for this initial standoff. It's a pure 1v1, and the trade goes slightly in favor of the Riven. Will have quite a bit of tempo up their top side of the map. Now sitting in that tri-bush to see if Gragas face checks. We are seeing opposite side starts from these junglers. Hydralisk not going to be able to get much help on that leash just because of the Gragas being a little bit indisposed fighting up against we tried to run still as the wave crashes. But overall, this is a pretty standard start, notwithstanding this little bit of interesting interaction.
Yeah, but it is a very interesting point to be able to point out that Bach is dead was actually it denied all of those minions, definitely the CS the experience coming out of those minions, neither getting the gold, but the experience going over to the side of Riven, and Graves looking like he's gonna answer that brutality that we tried to put out.
Yeah, we tried to run does have the flash available, but just try to queue through the wave and kite back. It looks like they don't want to burn the summoner spell. They're trying to buy time for Woshi Garvin to get up here. They will repel the initial advance of Bach is dead, but Hydralisk is going to continue to rush down. Now onto the Tree Man, in fact, and unfortunately the Maokai alone doesn't have enough health. We try to run also low, means that they can't really turn around and try to fight this again. We see the Riven hide and bush, but this is going to sacrifice their jungler, I believe, as they're slowed by the Graves W, and body slam from Bach is dead is going to get first blood for Unleashed.
Yeah, although it was an excellent strategy from Retard to run, it was just way too aggressive, way too pushy. And then Hydralisk was able to answer out and ends up being the kill into Woshi Garvin, losing both of his buffs, going over to the side of Hydralisk. Or sorry, the red buff going over to the side of Bak is dead, and the blue going over to Hydralisk. So not the strongest side coming out from Unleashed here. Definitely not the best time to be able to see that come out in a strong side coming from Asian Invasion, showing out the skills that they can put out, making sure that they don't let their top laner just go unanswered.
Ooh, and Cullen B is doing a ton on Violent Chill right now. This is not something I was super expecting. Rise can bully the Kassadin early, but I think that this is really just a matter of Cullen B getting the jump on Violent Chill's attempts to approach this wave. And this is actually going to force an early back out of the Kassadin, and they are going to be shoved at that tower for a while now. A lot of momentum for Unleashed, not only in that top side of the map, but basically everywhere. Wave is going to now bounce back here, but Troppus, sensing blood in the water, jumps forward with the flash and the Zenith Blade onto Gulch. Godiro going low. FaZe still has quite a bit of health to play with, but Hydralisk has round the corner now. Godiro trying to kite this out. Stays alive because of the stun, followed up by Hydralisk, and it's a 3-0 count on the map at the 4-minute mark.
Yeah, a super strong lead coming out from Asian Invasion. I'm surprised they didn't actually expect Hydralisk to be on that bot side. They knew he took his blue and was going top, so naturally he would be going towards that bot lane. I guess they just didn't expect him to come so fast, nor Troppus to actually be able to flash go in there. So it was an excellent play by Asian Invasion, being able to get those early leads and use those timers to their advantage, knowing that this team was not expecting their jungler apparently to be so early into that bot lane, skipping two of his buffs. Probably expecting him to full clear, but not quite. And now 2 kills goes over to the side of Asian Invasion. One on Hydralisk, one on Godiro. So a strong performance coming out from those two lanes right now, already getting super ahead, albeit not in farm, but definitely in gold.
One thing to note is that Asian Invasion is gaining ground topside of the map. Even with Baka's dead, getting that first blood, we tried to run, got a massive wave crashing into the tower. Gragas was down 2 levels at its worst point. Now they're going to recover a little bit as this Riven did not go for teleport, so they have to take the long walk back to the lane. But still, Unleashed will have to pay a little bit more attention topside if they don't want this Gragas falling behind. We tried to run still very much a win con even after that early mishap.
Yeah, and one of those points that we also had to point out as well, that gold deficit coming from CS is also hanging out in the mid lane. Colin B already having double the CS of Violent Chill only at almost 6 minutes. So that CS is just being a super crucial point. You saying Rise has a very high skill cap, higher for Kassadin, but Rise is being able to put out that early game damage and make sure that he knows that he is the threat in this game and not letting it unknown for any of these players.
Woshi Garvin here trying to lane gank, gets a really good twisted advance down onto Troppus, knocking them back. But Godiro just has the damage to answer. They're going to take down Woshi Garvin. Troppus is chased, will be forced back, and FaZe has the ability to just kite this one out. They will finally pick up a kill versus the Leona, but this has bought tons of time. Hydralisk is here now, and Rise is also rotating in, so it's going to be a 2v3 yet again in favor of Unleashed. Here's the Rune Prison down onto Goat, and FaZe will follow their support back to the fountain.
Yeah, that ability from Chop is to just kite that out for another 10 seconds. Just being able to kite around the damage of FaZe and Goach and just being able to waste their time led for the ability for Colin B and Hydralisk to come over and take those 2 kills while they were completely unaware of that event happening. And just even more gold coming over to the side of Asian Invasion. What would be argued a great play from the side from the side of Unleashed ends up being into the favor of them instead. Now a large fight coming into that top line, 2 summoners being used, but the more important one coming from Baka's Dead with his flash.
I think that right now, Unleashed are now kind of happy to just lose topside of the map. Godiro is so insanely ahead right now that Unleashed has a ton of different ways that they could play the rest of the map out. They can free up Troppus to go for roams to try to get this Rise even more ahead, sitting at 1-0-1 with a big CS lead over Violent Chill, or they could just keep them there and make it so Goach and FaZe just really never get the chance to breathe. Right now, one of the only things you can say is recompense for Asian Invasion side is that FaZe has a small CS advantage over Godiro, has been able to absorb quite a few waves because of the range advantage, but now we are actually going to be seeing movement back towards Baka's Dead. Colin B and Hydralisk are here to dive. We try to run, who immediately gets stunned inside of the Rune Prison, has nowhere to go. Woshi Garvin is here, but still doesn't have Nature's Grasp available. It's not needed though. Twisted Advance in the Bramble Smash will take down Hydralisk, and now Asian Invasion can turn this around. Violent Chill on the roam up. They're gonna collapse onto 3 members, and as soon as I start talking about Unleashed's advantage, Asian Invasion clap right back.
Yeah, my apologies. Having those teams flipped around, that is on me. But Asian Invasion now actually taking over for that top lane play, 3 for none, going over to their side and making sure that this gold is almost fully returned back into an even state. So all of that early game damage coming out from Unleashed, those early game plays going into the bot lane, just almost meaning nothing at this point, evening all the way up. We still have to fear for that Ezreal just being able to kite around these fights.
Solar Flare comes down. Troppus is just going to jump onto Goach, and with the combined power of them and Godiro's shots, they will be able to take down the Lulu for a 3rd time.
Yeah, just as I was saying, Godiro being able to put out all of that damage and kiting around in these fights shows it just then and there, getting another kill onto his name. So although Unleashed is losing in that top side fight, being able to give that up and just forcing these fights into the mid lane, into that bot lane, showing that Rise, Colin B on that Rise is just way more overpowered on Violent Chill for the Kassadin, and Godiro on this Ezreal showing up, pushing out all of this damage. It's one of those lanes where you just have to focus on your win con and just continue to push that forward and making sure that they stay in the lead.
And we're still seeing a CS lead develop for Colin B, speaking of which, in the mid lane. And that's really, really good because it's going to help provide a bit of insurance to the fact that Violent Chill has caught back up because they went 2-0 with that play top side of the map. And they have a lot of space to play with because they're also stacking up that Dark Seal So I think that right now Asian Invasion are in a surprisingly good spot for being about 1,500 gold behind. Unleashed, though, still I think will be able to make first move to a lot of these neutral objectives. We just saw them take down that Infernal Drake, and we do see the first Eye of the Herald go over to Asian Invasion's side, but I don't think the second one will be the case as well.
Yeah, once these champions start getting their items, Colon B and Violent Chill getting that much closer. Violent Chill just slightly more ahead into that build towards the Roa, being one of those key points and one of those key parts that both of these mid laners is going for. More damage coming out from the mid laner, and now it's interesting to be able to see which side is actually winning these fights. But bot lane,
Yeah, Trope is just going to jump in with the Zenith Blade. The Hugify comes out of Gulch, though, and this is helping to turn around the fight in a big way. Nature's Grass coming down. Godiro tries to flash, but will just die for their efforts. Woshi Garvin may be able to help kill Tropus as well. Colenby is here because of the Realm Orb, but I don't think it's going to be enough to save this support. Violent Chill on the flank through the Tribush will pick that kill up against the Leona. And once again, Asian Invasion rally. They get the gold lead, and they're looking for more top side in the 1v1. Here comes a Blade of the Exile. We tried to run, gets the solo bolo.
yeah, and now just this completely switch of gold going from almost 2k into the side of Unleashed, now 1k into the side of Asian Invasion. These plays are just absolutely coming out. Lulu actually being able to save Varus from that full engage from Tropus and Gondiro, and now putting them on the back foot once that Nature's Grasp started coming out. Unfortunately, Godiro flashing, not expecting the damage to be able to come out from the from Nature's Grass. And maybe not even thinking that it was going to hit him, ends up dying to it as he flashes into it. So not only does he die, but burns that very important summoner in that top lane fight as well. Just we tried to run, pushing out all of that damage and making sure that it is known he has this champion in the bag. Actually blind picking, I believe, into that top lane play. So he was not afraid of what champion they ended up pushing out here. Now
And
it
with
seems like
all
there's
of
going to
that,
be...
yeah,
Sorry, go for it.
no, there was an attempted invade down here. We're going to see if the collapse actually happens. We tried to run, continuing to repel Baka's dead topside. But I have to say, after that last little wave of action, it is time for me to leave. Unfortunately, Inigo, I will have to drop out here. You will see me on another cast in the future, though, with style. Thank you so much for helping me out. And I leave this entire game in your very capable hands.
Yeah, it was a very fun con casting with you. Unfortunately, it will just be me now, and it was a great time being able to see both of these teams go back and forth.
Yeah, for sure. I will be here yet again. Apologies once again for the sudden departure, but thank you so much for taking over. Everybody, you guys are in great hands. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah. As we get back into this game, we have this nice little fight going mid lane. Both junglers actually showing up. It just depends on who's going to pull the trigger first, and it looks like it will be the side of FaZe. Asian Invasion trying to get these fights in, the Lulu trying to go up, but it doesn't matter. Graves and Ezreal being able to push out this damage. FaZe actually trying to push out as well, but not quite enough. Goach is not able to save his area carry, and 2 for 1 going over to the side of Unleashed. Godiro being the only one to fall, and now this wave coming out, but Violent Chill is trying to answer for the deaths of his comrades, but that smokescreen ends up being the safety that he needs, not being able to see where these champions come out. And now it's just a 2 for 1 onto the side of Unleashed. A nice little swing back into their favor. Not quite enough to even it back up, but is a start for this game. So as we see a reset coming out from Violent Chill, Ryze is actually able to push that wave in. And this next dragon coming out, these items coming out as well. Finish for Ryze and for Kassadin. So it will be important to be able to watch when these stacks come out, when they become strong. And it looks like Unleashed is actually going to be able to get the first idea of vision coming for this next Drake. But it is going to be a very contested one, this vision being cleared out from the side of Asian Invasion, making sure that it's not going to be just for free. Both mid laners coming over and both top laners coming over well. So it's going to be a full 5v5 for this second Drake. And the first engage coming in from the side of Maokai, getting Graves absolutely 100-0. And now the jungler missing from the side of Unleashed. Now more damage coming out. Bak is dead, trying to push Asian Invasion into the bad parts, but it just looks like it's not going to be a good time for Unleashed. Instead, now actually falling one member at a time. Graves ends up falling, Rise being the last member of Unleashed on their side, and it looks like he's actually going to be falling as well. 5 for none for the side of, I'm sorry, 5 for 2, I believe, for the side of Asian Invasion, and the first Drake onto their side as well. So with this Drake coming out, it just gives them a little bit more of those resistances into the pick and the poke of Rise and Ezreal. Now some of this damage not being as meaningful as it once was, and it may actually end up being a rift going over to their side as well, now that they have the control of the mid lane, the control of this bot lane as well, with that turret falling. And it's just going to be interesting to see which team ends up pulling the trigger into some of these next fights. As we said in Champion Select, these teams were both bred to be some of those team fighting champions and team fighting compositions. So there's not going to be too many main picks out of all. It's going to be a lot of 3v2, a lot of 3v3, some of these being 5v5s when the objectives come out. So in between these objective timers, I expect just a lot of farming, not a lot of action coming out. Maybe from this from this Riven, we tried to run, showing off this skill in this laning phase, and now trying to push this skill into this mid game as well. So Kassadin still having that TP, actually hanging around on the bot side and trying to take over for that Colin B, trying to take that blue buff from him. It looks like he will spot him out, forcing him to run away. And maybe forcing out a little bit of damage as well. Blue buff having to reset, but the side of Unleash is actually collapsing onto Kassadin here. Violent Chill getting caught, and it looks like he will end up falling to the side of Godiro and Tropus, not respecting the amount of distance they could punish for. And although they do get that kill, they do lose their mid turret. So a very strong side coming out from the side of Unleashed, Asian Invasion. Although they do lose their Kassadin, they do gain a turret and possibly a dive onto Bak is dead here. Lulu getting her ultimate out, Wild Growth, but it may lead to the death of We Tried to Run, but not quite. Goach being able to save that champion. And looks like it was actually not going to be quite the best trade for them. One turret falling on the bot side, possibly two if Ezreal keeps pushing it, and it looks like he will. So this turret will, actually it will not fall. Maokai will end up clearing out the minions, and the turret will fall on the top side for the side of Asian Invasion instead. Woshi, Garvin, Violent Chill really looking for these fights. Violent Chill may be biting off a little bit more than he can chew, and decides to back up just a little bit. Maybe pressuring a bit, but not quite going for that full-on in. So, as we wait for these next timers of going up, Baron in about 2 minutes, Drake in about 2.5, we'll just see some of these champions farming up, trying to get these items going. And one of those key points we saw, or we have to pay attention to, is that Kassadin, dying from that last death, ends up losing 5 of his stacks on the Dark Seal. So he went from 10 to 5. So that's a little bit of damage that he's now going to be missing because of that mistake. Rise ends up selling his, but it is 7 stacks for row on both of these champions. Definitely need to be paid attention to as they get closer to that 10. Being at the same time, both of their power spikes will be hitting at around the same time as well. So although there is that gold lead, there is that CS lead going over to Colin B, Kassadin is hanging around with those 4 extra kills to his name, so that 1200 gold is a very important thing that really evens up those differences and makes that gold that CS not quite as important as it could have been. Both teams kind of setting up their vision around this Baron that's about to spawn in about less than a minute, less than 30 seconds or so. And Twisted Advance ends up coming out, but not quite catching anyone in the end. These speeds just being a little too fast for that for that Nature's Drast to be able to come out. Now it looks like Asian Invasion having all of their vision set up on that Baron, making sure that that does not get taken away. Now setting up some of their vision onto the side of this Drake. Goach taking a lot of damage, half of his health bar being gone before this fight even starts. Less than 30 seconds coming now for this Drake. And we will see some of these fights actually coming out. A little bit of vision being on Hydralisk. If he falls before the rest of his team, they may have to give this over. So it looks like they are going to back him up, make sure he does not make that mistake again. A lot of... Ooh, double knockback coming out from Bak is dead. A lot of damage going over to Woshi Jarvan. But ends up keeping him alive is the side of Goach. So he will still be a smite threat, but definitely not the fighting threat that he once was about 10 seconds ago. And this Drake could be very dangerous. Now split in half. 3 members on the top side, 2 on the bottom. Cassidy being caught out just a little bit. But we tried to run, trying to be able to fight this 1v3. Looks like he will end up leaving, but he will leave with a sliver of health in his way. Ooh. The Nature's Wrath coming out once more. The ult from Varus actually both missing their marks and not quite hitting the champions that they wanted. A full-on 5v5 coming back out as these health bars start coming back. This Drake still underway. Not quite finished yet. Not quite close enough. Maokai trying to go over the wall, but not fast enough as Hydralisk secures that Drake to the side. Colin B trying to flash in and make those picks, but too fast is Goach and not going to go over. So it's just going to be a nice little spit coming from both of these teams. Not quite taking these fights just yet. Not getting too dangerous after this Drake is now gone. So we tried to run it. Getting in a key position, trying to take away that red buff, but doesn't know that 4 members are sitting on the other sides here. Violent Chill ends up catching out Gardiro, trying to take that red buff, but not putting too much respect onto the side of Cassidy, and ends up paying his life for it in the end. That kill going over to Cassidy and adding 2 more stacks to that Dark Seal, and possibly this Baron maybe going over to the side of Asian Invasion. Lulu trying to keep Unleashed from being able to hit these marks and be able to go over the wall. Looks like she will back out, and it's just going to be a nice little give over to the side of Asian Invasion. Graves not quite having that smite up, so he's not able to even contest it. And it looks like it will be Drake for Baron in this play right now. As both of these teams start to reset, we're going to see some of these new items coming out. Seraph's finish for the side of Violent Chill, as well as Colin B. And it looks like Bak is Dead is actually going to be building that, finish that Rod of Ages as well, having only 2 stacks on it. Building that Seeker's Arm Guard, which doesn't quite get the resistances that it once did. So not quite sure about that pick, but as the opt-in, it will have to be able to be the defenses that he needs to survive this 1v1 against We Tried to Run. The ultimate, the Ignite still being up for that champion, and looks like it will be finished off. That full-on solo bolo going over to the side of We Tried to Run against his counterpart. Bak is Dead, and looks like the name will fit the champion. Dead in the grave. Blue buff having to go over to Rise here. Definitely one of those champions that burns a lot of mana as he spits out those damage and those spells coming out. Yeah, as we have to notice, Rise using that TP to defend that top turret against Riven. And Nature's Grass coming out again. A lot of damage going over to the side of Gardiro. Tropus ends up almost falling as well, but having to flash out to make sure Violent Chill does not get that kill. Bak is Dead, TPing in, trying to make sure that he tries to get the return kill onto Violent Chill, but the backup coming from We Tried to Run makes him back off. So it's going to be a nice 1-for-0 to the side of Asian Invasion, and Baron still being up on their side. Makes it look like it may be a possible fall of the turret, but it looks like they are going to back off as well. Cassidy going for that bot lane, not knowing that blue is already taken, so just going to suffice for possibly taking those bot minions instead. So the nice little 1-3-1 coming out from Asian Invasion, forcing Bach is Dead to be able to answer We Tried to Run, knowing that he's going to lose at 1v1 as he has almost every single time this game coming so far. Really putting the pressure onto Asian Invasion. A nice bit of damage coming out onto Colin B from the speed ups of Goach, and the phase damage coming out leaves an excellent turret dive coming. Hydralisk trying to flash out. Tropus also trying to save his champions coming. We Tried to Run, gets up a little too advanced and ends up falling for his sins, but so does Tropus, falling, almost getting the defense of his turret. And Colin B ends up falling as well. Hydralisk not far from his from his teammate there, having no mana to actually be able to get out of that situation. And now another kill coming out from Vars onto Gaudiro, trying to push out that damage onto Violent Chill, but ends up getting a little bit too close for comfort, and FaZe ends up wiping him out. Now, Baron buff removed from the side of Asian Invasion, but will not stop their onslaught for these Nexus turrets. We show Garvin trying to get Bach is Dead, but not quite having the damage, taking up both of those turrets and almost losing one of those Nexus turrets, but not quite defending their base and having them push for another time. Drake coming up in just a few seconds leaves another objective going over to the side of Asian Invasion almost for free, as all these respawns are coming, but not quite close enough to be able to contest this Drake. It looks like it's just going to be a 2-for-2 Drake here. Neither team quite at soul point, but will be in about 5 minutes. So as we see these items start to reset, we start seeing that Wit's End coming out from Phased, getting that strong item. Now with the death of We Tried to Run, having to restack that Ravenous Hydra. That Black Cleaver also being one of those key items coming out. That damage, or sorry, that armor coming is just not going to be quite as important as it once was. A nice little fight coming out. Hydralisk almost trying to engage there, or trying to invade, but not quite knowing that the rest of his teammates were going to be there. Colin falling too. We Tried to Run, and so is the side of Bach is Dead. Tropus falling as well, and that is going to be another 4-for-0 from the side of Asian Invasion. Trying to invade the jungle was unleashed, but not knowing the entire squad was going to be there to answer them. And a 4-fall for the side of a 4-fall from the side of Unleashed, and that may end up being the end of the game as those minions are coming in from the mid wave. Gaudiro having to live in fear of these champions coming out, these stuns, these puns, these blinks coming, and it looks like he will end up falling underneath his turret, and that will be the end of the game that we see right now. A lot of fighting coming out from both of these sides, strong showings coming, but ends up being the fall of Unleashed, leading Asian Invasion to 2-0 in this Saturday tournament. So, was a very good showing coming out from both of these teams, but inevitably only one team can win in the end, and Asian Invasion ends up taking that victory in the end. So, although there was a good showing from Unleashed, they had a great early game, being able to take some of those advantages, making sure that Ezreal got extremely ahead, making sure that Ryze was able to push in those turrets into Kassadin. It ends up just not being enough. And Asian Invasion getting those return kills, getting that 3 kill onto the top side, winging that gold basically right back to where it started. And just inevitably let FaZe take over that game, let Violent Chill and We Tried to Run be able to throw out those damage in the side lanes. We Tried to Run having almost invincible powers in the side lane, be able to push Bach is Dead to force those 1v1s and possibly bringing up the jungler Graves, making those 2v1s, but not being enough damage. We saw that he was able to 2v1 in that last fight. Just We Tried to Run, being able to show off those skills on that Riven, and just ends up being a little bit too much for the side of Unleashed. So, although being a great showing from the side of Unleashed, it will be a win from the side of Asian Invasion. and we will have to stop for the fights of the finals coming out in just a second. So we will be right back.
Thank you for your patience during the transition, but now it is time for the finals of the Saturday Throwdown tournament. InigoMontoya is gone, but now it is myself, Llama, with AllOutPotato, here to cast the finals today between Asian Invasion and Chaotic Surge. We just saw what an amazing performance Asian Invasion had over Unleashed, and now we're going to see them here in the final.
Yeah, and Chaotic Surge, maybe seeing that last game too, the Ribbon Band coming out already. We tried to run, not going to be able to run that back once again. But yeah, I'm excited for some great games tonight.
Yeah, this is already a couple of games in. Both these teams going 2-0. Chaotic Surge to get here. They had to beat NWE Delta and then Clemson Orange. We saw Clemson Purple playing Potato a little while ago.
We did,
and now, yeah, now they're in the finals. And then Asian Invasion just took down Unleashed, but started the day by beating Mythic Esports. So a road to get here, some best of ones, but now it is a best of three for all the marbles here. Yeah, bans coming down, some specific targeted bans for both these teams, seeing Fiddlesticks off the table here. Expecting that's a jungle pick. Chaotic Surge will not be able to take.
Yeah, absolutely. And, some fairly meta picks coming in as well. Maokai not going to make an appearance. Caitlyn not going to make an appearance either. Just really nice, blindable, generic, strong picks as well.
Yeah, some very kind of tried and true classics, but looks like very much targeting toward the jungle pool here. Dark Torch SVN. Most played games this season, 44 Viego matches and 12 Fiddlesticks. After that, only 7 on Echo is that most played. This is a Diamond 1 player in the jungle. Less than 50% win rate so far, but again, very high level competition here. Lots of D1 Master Tier and Plus early on in the season. First pick, I mean, here's another strong early ganking jungler we've been seeing more and more of.
Oh yeah, the Elise, someone who's traditionally had a lot of presence when the early ganking junglers are in flavor, sending up so much early damage. If you have a lane that can take advantage of it, certainly can be very scary, taking down a lot of tower dives as well. But we have the Lucianami in response.
Lucianami, the classic pairing, now Asian Invasion. If we're sticking meta, we're going to see something like Zeri Lulu has kind of been the most common answer into it right now. Of course, with both Caitlyn and Varus being taken off the table, that really limits the long-range options. Ashe is still a pairing for either lane. You could go Ashe Heimerdinger, but with Zeri locked, I expect to see Lulu picked up right after, and there it is.
Yep, looking a little bit like some of the bot lane matchups we might see in Pro League of Legends, which is not a big surprise considering these players are very strong indeed. We'll just see what Chaotic goes with for their R3 pick.
Likely going to be a jungle pairing is what I expect to see. There is still options like Sejuani, Wukong, Zac, Vi, all available. Vi known as one of the most common counters into Zeri. But it is going to be a Sejuani pick, meaning maybe Chaotic Surge is looking for some melee champions on the top side of the Rift. But as you mentioned, this is kind of the most meta bot lane here, Potato, like the Lucian Nami, Zeri, Lulu. Typically how that goes is the Lucian Nami needs to get the aggression early on. This is known as a very punishing, high damage lane. But Zeri Lulu scales so hard later on in the game. Repositioning from Zeri, better 5v5 team fights, better late game insurance as well. And when you got a Lulu on your back, that's typically what you're going to see this lane playing for. So I want to see if Chaotic can get enough of an early game advantage to shut down Zeri, because Asian Invasion seems to be playing for the mid and late game from their bot lane.
Yeah, and back when Zeri was the biggest flavor, the Zeri Sivir meta, it was mentioned Zeri is one of those champions that's kind of just a receptacle for Lulu and Yumi buffs. Certainly one of those champions that can take advantage of those very, very well. And, maybe we'll get to see that come out in this game. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, some bans coming out as well. Kassadin, Azir, taking out Kassadin, one of those champions that's seen pretty good presence lately. Azir, just one of those great scaling long-range mages. Has good lane dominance, good utility all around.
Yeah, and now it's going to be about what is going to be the most blindable solo lanes here. Chaotic Surge does need to blind one of those matchups here on R4. Taking away the strong Azir is one of the most common ones. I wonder if something like a Victor might get banned as well. Syndra and Silas, both other options, especially the Silas with Sejuani pairing. There are lots of options. Granted, I mean, Zeri Ultimate and Elise Ultimate are not known to be great ults for Silas to steal. But with some melee kind of needed, hopefully, to support the Sejuani pick, we'll have to see if this is another mid lane ban and Akali going to be the final choice. We'll have to see if Chaos... Oh, never mind. Last minute switch to Jax. So we'll see if Chaotic Surge does blind a mid laner here to give their top laner counter pick. That would be giving the counter pick over to Scrub 4 in the top lane. And we'll see if they do want to go down that road here. I mean, again, Victor's safe. Even something like Syndra can also be totally fine. But a Mumu locked in, that's going to be an interesting pick. Is that going to top lane a Mumu? Maybe Sejuani top?
I'm guessing it is Sejuani top. Looking at Scrug's match history, we do see that Sejuani is actually their most played champion in this season. So a bit of a specialty for this chaotic top laner, bringing a bit of chaos into the pick order here. We are going to see the top lane counter come out though, and a mid lane counter pick saved for Chaotic's team.
Yeah, so Chaotic Surge now, that does give Yusuf the counter pick in the mid lane. Orianna, a champion that they've been playing a little bit of. Yusuf. Oh, maybe not the Orianna actually. As I'm looking here, I'm looking. They have a lot of jungle champs here themselves. Yasuo is the most common. There's a melee champ particularly there. Azir as well, common. Syndra as an option too. And now Chaotic Surge has to be picking into the Lissandra. That's a lot of added lockdown and utility for Asian Invasion side to pair aggressively with the Elise Cocoon. That's going to be your primary CC enabling here when they're looking for picks.
Yeah, the mid lane may need to be fairly careful early on here. This mid lane Lissandra lockdown seems to be the obvious target for Elise to combo with and try and get picks. And is going to be the Syndra answered as the R5 choice.
Yeah, so I think that does solidify what we were kind of thinking on this matchup here, right? Sending the Sejuani into the top lane with Amumu jungle. Amumu, a champion that I think has started to reach the upper echelon of top tier jungle. We saw Spica even pulling it out this weekend for FlyQuest. This is a champion that has a lot of lockdown and offers similar AP utility from some of the other premier jungle champions right now, thinking namely like Maokai and Zac, or even the Fiddlesticks that was taken away from Dark Torch. Amumu kind of falls right in that boat as primary initiation, lots of lockdown, some damage as well, and pairs really well with items like the Demonic Embrace.
Yeah, and the rest of the team is not shy for follow-up or lockdown either. We have so much CC pick potential available from the Nami, Sejuani, Syndra. These champions, should they find a target in isolation, can be very, very scary. And I'm looking specifically towards the Zeri, one of those champions that looks to be a hyper carry as the game continues on.
Yeah, both of these teams have drafted some very clear carries on their composition with a lot of utility to support that. Fiora is that split push character that has a lot of damage in the side lane here. But like you mentioned from Chaotic Surge, like Lucian and Syndra, they have to kill the Zeri. Like, you have to see that Syndra ultimate always going onto that champion. But if Lulu has enough disengage for Asian Invasion to keep Zeri alive, that is going to be such a tricky, slippery champion later on into the match. And yeah, you got some crowd control, but if they're not going 100-0, Zeri will have opportunities to turn these fights. And meanwhile, again, Lucian and Syndra, if we can see Asian Invasion getting the key crowd control onto these two champions, a lot of their damage is going to be mitigated.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're just getting ready to load into the Rift here, you know, taking all of these drafts all together. Do you feel that any of the teams have come out with an advantage here?
Very meta across the board. I do like how Chaotic Surge has opted to draft. I feel like they have some better layering options on their crowd control instead of Asian Invasion, which is so important, right? That ease of execution, be able to lock down a target and stay on them till death. So I like what they've created here, but it is reliant on Lucian Nami. We need to see how this bot lane can pair. Can Verticality and Banhito play the lane aggressively enough to get the early advantage? Because if not, I see this team potentially struggling into the mid game.
Yeah, I do see that. The Chaotix team does seem to have a bit of an easier execution threshold here. We'll have to see Elise making an impact in the map. We'll have to see Zeri playing these team fights very well for Asian Invasion to make their mark on this game. But we're just about getting ready to get loaded into this first game of the finals.
Yeah, we will have to see in just a moment this best of three. Who's going to take game number one? I'm going to get the prediction live here in just a minute. Remember, this is a BO3 between Asian Invasion Chaotic Surge for the Saturday tournament champion here for this Throwdown tournament. So stay where you're at, but we will see after the spectator delay who is going to take an early lead in this best of three. welcome back to the Saturday Throwdown Tournament Finals, casted by myself, Llama, and AllOutPotato. Hitting the Rift, we have two awesome teams that have earned their ticket here after taking 2-0s in each of the last two best of ones. It is on one side, we have Asian Invasion on the blue side, and on the other side, we have the Chaotic Surge.
Yeah, that's right. And we see both teams starting out this game with a fairly standard 5 point. We do see the side of Asian Invasion looking to get a little bit of early vision potentially into the chaotic jungle. But both sides are going to be forced back. A ward is dropped on that top side, trying to track where this Amumu starts.
We'll have to see if they can find the location here of where it is. I apologize, the team names are not quite updated. I'll make sure that those get going. But this is going to make a difference here if we can track this Amumu, known as not the strongest and most premier jungler early on. They want to get some levels, get level 6 as well.
Yeah, and we do see junglers starting on the opposite sides of the map there. Banjito did drop a ward onto Raptors, and Scrug was able to spot out that top side start for the Elise, so they will know that this Elise is pathing bottom. The Asian Invasion bot lane also just opting to move immediately into lane to get that early advantage going.
And again, this is that early advantage from the bot side that we need to see, and we need to see quickly here. Because this is a bot lane that is a little bit on a timer and known as a premier aggressive bot side, but they have to be able to execute early on to be able to find success.
Yeah, likely looking for some trades, and actually with one jungler pathing bottom, the other pathing top, it might reduce some of the chances for the solution Nami to play as up as they would like. We'll have to see if this pathing ends up making a difference for these trades.
Yeah, you're right about some of this pathing here. It's so important on junglers. They have not changed the punishing to early aggression from these different lanes here. So jungle early impact is still so important. And I'm a little bit surprised to see Dark Torch pathing to the top side because, yeah, we've talked about it. This bot side is where they need to get aggression. But a quick 3 camp and a level 3, Woshi Garvin already looking in the mid side. Looks like Amumu is sniffing it out.
Yeah, both junglers congregating mid here, trying to look to see if there is an angle, but both starting to back off as well. A bit of heavy trading in both the top and the bottom lane there. Scrug and we tried to run, going at it, and on the bot side, Heal actually already forced out from Gochu very early, but here is the Elise making their presence towards this bot lane, while Dark Torch here is looking for potentially dive on the top lane, but there's the first blood already from the Fiora, and a flash out is going to guarantee their safety. So very well played from We Try to run there, picking up first blood already onto the Sedge.
Scrug was trying to trade aggressively, and Dark Torch had the flank set up, but the wave was not under tower. The angle was not there. Scrug has Ignite instead of the flash, but now a 4-man bot side. This might be another aggressive play now from Asian Invasion.
Yeah, can they get the wave in time, though? They will know that mid lane has been missing for quite a while now.
They're gonna look here, though.
Garvin started topside. Here's the start of the dive. The cocoon is good. Teleport forced out. That is verticality going down immediately. Goach picks up the kill there. Teleport from Scrug down into the bot lane, but there will be no more plays here. So that's another free pickup for Asian Invasion.
And that is a huge denial now. Scrug tried to teleport to save the play, but it was still going to be Verticality who fell. Dark Torch now forced to get this top wave while Fiora is going to crash it in. But now Sejuani, no teleport, no ignite, and not going to be able to catch this wave. Dark Torch is going to try to hold it for a moment. They can hold it out of tower, that'd be brilliant, but it's not. It's going to crash now, and this is going to be a major disadvantage now for Sejuani in the top side.
Yeah, the wave is
diving
too large to hold there. But yeah, We Tried to run, really just going very aggressively onto Dark Torch, is going to get traded back. Most likely, surely they don't get out here, but no, they do. This Fiora absolutely styling on this early game.
Wow, what a great job to break the tower aggro, then dash through it once again. An amazing use of that lunge after getting the kill and then retreating. And as you said, I thought for sure Scrug was going to get the return kill, but with the slippery feet able to get out, FaZe looking aggressive.
Yeah, FaZe going into a bit of a 1v2 dive there, but Garvin is here for the backup. Benjito forced to flash out, is just one ability away from death here. Goach is going to pick up a second one, but here is Dark Torch ready to join the bot lane fight as well. Verticality does pick up Goach for the trade back. The wave is coming in. Both members of Asian Invasion very low here in the bot lane, but it does look like to be the end of that encounter.
Feels like across the map, early advantages are going to Asian Invasion. Feels like it looks like Dark Torch is playing a little bit on the back foot here, a little bit of a botched engaged topside. And now this bot lane. This was the lane we want to get ahead. Goach with both of the early kills in the bot lane. But oh, Yusuf now wants it and gets the kill, solo kill in the mid lane.
Yeah, going to deny this huge crashing wave as well. Violent Shield already down significantly in farm. That's only going to further the lead. So this mid lane is seeming to be the one place that is going in a positive direction for Cosmic here.
And Yusef showing mastery not only on this champion but also in the matchup. If y'all were watching earlier today, you would have seen this player dominate on the pick. Chaotic Surge's mid laner Yosef went 6-1 earlier today when they played into Clemson Orange. An amazing performance there, also into a Lissandra pick. And once again, showing that they understand the power spikes, the damage numbers as well. Oh, but now Goach might be too far forward.
Yeah, getting engaged on here by Verticality and Benjito. That is going to be a free pickup left in a 1v2 while Phased was taking a quick base timer there. It is going to be a little bit of gold back into the Lucian's hands.
And way to set up that pick. Good call out from Verticality and Benjito to be able to stay in the bush. It looked like Goach wanted to try to crash the wave while FaZe was on a reset and thought that the bot lane from Chaotic Surge had done the same. But they were just waiting around and waiting in the bush. But now it looks like maybe 2v2 topside.
Yeah, Scrugg is level 6 as
not
well,
even
so that's going to
2v2.
start out very, very easy. CC Chain Garvin caught out on the roam and gank attempt there. Scrugg and Dark Torch ready for that play.
Yeah, just walking in totally blind into the jungle. And it was not just into the jungle, but it was into an Amumu and Sejuani. I mean, I thought it was going to be a 2v2, but we tried to run, had to run themselves, had no way to make any impact there. Goat's trying to punish down the mid lane.
Yeah, but here comes the roam here from the Lulu already going on to Yusuf
up.
there. There's the ultimate from Violent Show, so is going to trade back that kill onto the Syndra, get some nice income there from the middle lane.
That was a repeat gank from a Lulu support potato. That was crazy. But now they're trying to punish this rotation back to bot
Yeah,
lane.
Lucian is level 6 here. Garvin is ready to support. There comes the culling, but with both junglers showing up, they are forced to back off. Nothing
So
further
dangerous.
found there. Just the heal and the cleanse expended from Asian Invasion here.
He
But
wants
now
to get back to the lane, but
members-
he can't.
Oh, yeah, taking the blast come over, but Dark Torch is there ready to go and is going to pick off the Zeri early there. Garvin does connect with the cocoon there, is going to try and finish off Benjito, but there is too much survivability available, and now Goach is caught out by themselves in a 1v3. The bandage toss is going to miss, but there is nowhere to run. They are going to go down there. Benjito actually takes the kill off of the wave. Not quite the way you would have wanted to see that go down, but still some nice pickups on that rotation.
Yeah, really smart punish on really having that aggressive look while punishing the rotation back down from Goach. Trying to return to the bot lane. FaZe had to burn the cleanse to get out of that and didn't have the flash up. FaZe wanted to catch the wave, so took the blast cone. And then Dark Torch was just sitting there, ready to go. Had the Curse of the Sad Mummy available, and I mean, FaZe had no way out, and while the team tried to get the flank off, they were down in number and had no way to fight their way out. What was a 4-1 advantage to Asian Invasion has quickly become 6 kills and a dragon now, totaling 7-5, and that gold lead that was a quick deficit from Chaotic Surge is now a major advantage less than 10 minutes into this game.
Yeah, as the game was starting on, we saw a very early 1,000 gold lead coming out for Asian Invasion, but that has absolutely turned around, getting to 1,500 in advantage for Cosmic here, as we saw a few back-to-back nice plays across the map from these members.
Yeah, Chaotic Surge really showing up across the map after we thought that they were at a pretty big deficit here. and ultimately have just found the right picks, got the numbers in positions ahead of time, and have been playing the map really well with their level 6 ultimates available. After Scrug 4 had a very, very scary encounter topside, and I thought that lane was totally over, they just have to be playing safe and just pick up whatever farm they can, because they're down about 26 farm, but it's okay because the rest of the map is doing their job, and you're just a tank Sejuani here, so any gold and XP that you can soak up is going to be good, because Yusef and Verticality, these are two players that are doing amazing early on.
Yeah, but Dark Torch here now going to get engaged on, but the rest of the team is there to support. Dark Torch survives, and it's going to be the two members of Asian Invasion going down, collapsed on in a 4v2 there.
Another great pickup. It thought that it might have been a look that they wanted there, but moving a little bit too far forward and getting caught out of position. Now 3 members in the bot side. Dark Torch does not have the Curse of the Sad Mummy as it was just used. And Garvin going into the bot side to try to deter this fight. We'll have to see without ultimates if they still look for a play. Yusef says that they want it as well because they are also moving. It's going to be a
Yusef
3v4
heading
under
down,
tower.
and this is going to be the start. It goes directly onto Zeri. The CC chain is good onto FaZe. FaZe is going to go down Verticality now on a rampage. Garvin not able to ward off. The TP
Yusef
was
is here.
gone mid lane with the Lissandra, but yeah, there is the stun. Scatter the Weak is going to give the double kill over to Verticality. Some great tower aggro juggling here would mean that everyone from Chaotic Surge stays alive. A very well executed tower dive.
Yeah, and amazingly well done that no members from Chaotic Surge fell in that dive. I thought for sure Dark Torch without the ultimate was going to go down. Flash kept them alive and they lived to tell the tale, now denying a massive wave. Now 5-1 and 4 in Verticality. That dive, I did not think they were going to be able to pull it off, but they did, and they did beautifully. Now multiple plates into their pockets as well, and FaZe is so far behind in the bot lane.
Yeah, the CC landed on the correct
won it
target there.
again.
FaZe taken out
Oh
immediately.
my.
Verticality is ready to dive the tower once more. There is the polymorph. Can they trade back onto this Lucian? A 500 gold shutdown available. The flash away from the bubble, and the tower now going up Benjito, and it's going to be Lulu picking up 2 humongous shutdowns in this bottom lane. A gigantic influx of gold going onto the support. Now 1,500 gold ahead of their carry, actually, off the back of those 2 shutdowns.
Yeah, gigantic shutdowns, but not on the character you need to see them on, Potato. And now another member from Asian Invasion going down. This Rift Herald is going to be all Chaotic Surges.
Yeah, it's a familiar picture. Scrug and Dark Torch landing that CC chain onto the Elise, and it's going to be one very dead spider off the back of that Rift Herald. Now 0 and 5, doing some good impact in that early game, but afterwards not going the way that they would like to see.
Yeah, you're right. There are 2 assists. So they, as you said, the impact in the bot side early on was great. But this is an early game jungler, right? And now you see a Mumu able to find the early game that they wanted. FaZe in trouble once again, Verticality.
Yeah, Verticality, Gale forcing straight in. The Culling is going to go into the minions, though, so the trade is actually really quite close. But the rest of the members are here to support. Banjito is hunting them down. Verticality dashes in once more and does get the pick up. The gold, unfortunately, going over to the Nami once more. But still, it is going to be FaZe falling once again in this bottom lane, unable to finish their mythic just yet, not having the survivability they needed to win out on that duel.
And in the top side, though, it is We Tried to Run still dominating the top lane matchup. Unfortunately, that is the only lane going in favor for Asian Invasion at this point, as turret plates fall and 14 minutes hits the clock. The second dragon as well is about to be hitting the Rift too. So we'll have to see now, with only your top lane winning, will that split push Fiora be strong enough to pull resources away from Chaotic Surge? Or will these strong members and the 6-2 Lucian be able to make enough of an impact?
Yeah, and it may be up to We Try to Run to take their team through the dire straits they find themselves in currently. They are unable to match the team fighting prowess right now. That Chaotic comes in, and look at that damage onto Goach. Just a dash in from Lucian, showing us why this Lucian Nami is such a powerful combination on 2 items already. This is a very scary bot laner.
This is very scary, and it's not Zeri. This is 0-4-4 for the bot laner of Asian Invasion. And you're right, it's verticality you gotta be running away from. This is the guy showing the power. 2 items completed on Lucian. The only player in the game to have that much. It looks like Draven's amount of gold with how much they have. 7,000 individual gold, up nearly 3,000. Like more than 1.5 times as much gold as FaZe has in the bot lane. But again, we talked about that if this champion is ahead early, they can carry the game. Lucian does not scale as hard as some of these other champions, namely Zeri. So yes, Zeri is very far behind. I mean, it is Noon Quiver and like Vampiric Scepter, and there's 2 items from Lucian. Lucian wants it. Can they find the damage?
Yeah, trying to look for it onto
Oh,
Ghost.
man.
The Wild Growth needing to
but
be
now
invested
teleport.
on just the Lulu here. But here's Dark Torch coming in
5
from the top
members.
side. Bandage toss, not quite going to land, but the TP is here as well. We try to run, trying to join in on this bottom play as well as Scrug. Both TPs invested coming in. Dark Torch wanting to look once more, but the minion wave is going to deny any engage angle. We do see now Lissandra and Elise heading down from the top side as well, but will they get caught out? Yusuf wants it. The Claw is going to take them to safety for now. Dark Torch waiting patiently over the Raptor pit. It's tense, and there's the flash engage from Yusuf going to find it onto Violent Show. The tomb there is going to keep them alive for a moment. Will Verticality finish it out? Yes, one more auto does take it. We tried to run now, getting aggressed here on towards the bot side, but no more to be found. The Herald is going to take down this mid lane. The engage from Scrug is good. Is going to find it onto Garvin. Garvin is going to be forced to come back down now. Flash is not enough to keep them alive. Verticality picks up another one, and here's going to be the second charge of the Herald. This is where the game is breaking open for the members of Chaotic Surge.
They are still going. Chaotic Surge wanting one more crash. They are not going to get it. I thought at first Chaotic Surge did not pull the trigger early enough. They had 5 members down there first, and then it was collapse, but great turn onto the 2 collapsing members. Elise and Lissandra forced to run, and with a Rift Herald drop to crack, they were able to fight it. We tried to run, does not want to run, but now they are outnumbered, they are outstatted, and Dark Torch flashes forward.
Yeah, the flash not quite going to find the target, but still forcing out the flash in response from Goach here. So much map pressure across, isolating the 2 previous members, as you said, and the use of kicking off that team fight with that flash, scatter the weak, picking off Violent Show, and everything was downhill from there.
Yeah, that was the fight that they needed, and someone needed to pull the trigger, and it was Yusef, like you named. Again, strong members, this mid and ADC for Chaotic Surge are the primary carries here. And it is going to be the top lane just kind of hanging on. Scrug did have a great re-engage as well that caused them to get the extra inner tower. And as we look across the map, 18 minutes in, the 3rd dragon, 2 minutes from spawning, Baron 2 minutes from spawning as well. And again, this game is still looking like it is all in the hands of Chaotic Surge. But take a look at Zeri. Zeri's so far behind, and if this champion can get golden items, they still have a chance here. But the biggest timer that's ticking is actually the dragon. Verticality playing very aggressive. Still gotta be scared. This is still a very squishy Lucian. And with 1 CC chain, Violent Chill and Garvin can just find the 100-0.
Yeah, a little bit dicey there. Fortunately, the cocoon was not going to land. The cleanse not quite off cooldown at the moment, so that could have been a crucial pick, but it was not to be Lucian able to get out. Now looking for an invade with the team into the top side of the map.
Yeah, the cleanse is available, so it does have some summoner spells and defensive resources available. But all the aggression is going to keep coming out from Chaotic Surge. They are in the driver's seat here. Dark Torch finding an angle behind, but parried. Not
yeah,
enough.
skipping the entire tower there, and we tried to run. There is no running available for that Fiora. With that many members collapsing in, it is certain death. Now it's going to be the second Rift Herald picked up. All 3 members here ready to take the objective in position. Violent Chill is going to trade at least for a little bit of gold back on this bot side. Dragon spawning in a full minute, so that is not going to be enough time to pick it up right now. We do see the Chaotic members going to take the reset and likely getting back onto the map for Soul Point here.
Asian Invasion is still at such a gold deficit that I don't think they have any way to contest here, Potato. I don't think you're at anywhere near parity with item points to even contest a fight, especially when you have someone like a Fiora who wants to split push, and you have a Zeri 1 item nearly versus the completed Infinity Edge from Verticality. This guy's only like 500 gold away from finishing that item. Like, there is no world in which we can see Asian Invasion contesting. So they're going to give this one up. hopefully just scale and play safe for the next 5 minutes. And maybe at that point, Asian Invasion can try to force the issue at the Soul.
Yeah, the conditions for team fighting just not good right now. The Elise only offering that initial CC. The Zeri so far behind, still behind in income compared to Lulu, who was able to get the shutdowns early. Fiora wanting to find that side lane to split push, so it is going to be the third dragon here, going over uncontested for Chaotic Surge.
Yep, and that is that Soul point like you named, and now Baron also on the map. 20 minutes have hit the clock. Now, I mean, these objective bounties are still available, and so we'll see if maybe Fiora can pick up, you know, a little more of those. Like, there are going to be some that are completed, so that did help, right? You mentioned Violet Chill getting the bot lane outer tower. We tried to run, got the top lane outer tower. Granted, they can't really look for 5v5s because look what Verticality can do.
Yeah, the culling just so much damage there, and it's almost enough to finish out. FaZe does finally get the pick down. A big shutdown going on to the Lucian there, over-aggressing, maybe losing both summoners, the Gale Force and the ulti there. This could be potentially a window. We'll see whether it is enough to convert it into more. The TP coming out from Yusuf into this middle lane to try and hold the reinforcing members. Are there? CC is good, going out into Garvin to start, but the repel is available. Banjito actually going down, turn around, and there is the cocoon. It is good. Another shutdown going over to the Zeri. This might be the gold influx they need. Now Baron is on the map. Is this the turning point?
We'll have to see if they can make the Baron happen, and if they do, they want to do it now, but looks like maybe some resets. Verticality is your team, and they use both summoners and still hit the gray screen, but now have the Infinity Edge completed. FaZe did a great job being able to pick up that extra kill, but now tempo is so important on the map. Verticality is back with a Herald drop. This might just be Chaotic Surge looking to start up the Baron, or at least try to get a pick. We tried to run, has to do just that. We'll have to see, because with the influx coming in, Asian Invasion getting, I thought it might be an Alien Invasion, but Asian Invasion getting the gold influx, they have to spend in reset, which gives the opportunity for the Chaotic Surge to get back on the map, collect their thoughts, and try to play again for some aggressive plays.
Yeah, we tried to run now. Here is going to be in a 1v2. Dark Torch very patient with this dive, not using the CC yet. We know the parry is available. Now it goes out. Both members stunned. It is Dark Torch going out very, very low. Banchito going to try and find the disengage. The parry is good. Now it's Lulu getting aggressed on Verticality. Can they survive? Can they kite out this situation? Fiora is going to try and find it. One more hit, but it is not enough. Violent Chill there is ready. Takes down the Lucian, and now it is Zeri. What can FaZe do? FaZe is chasing. The first shutdown comes through. Now it's going on to Dark Torch. Also finds the target. Banjito is going to be in the sights. A Violent Chill, a nice bubble is going to keep them alive for a moment, but Zeri is too fast. A third shutdown going over. The triple kill for the Zeri, who is behind for so much of the game, but is now finding their targets, finding the team fights off of the oversteps of Chaotic Surge, and now it's going to be Baron potentially going down.
An amazing spend of gold and trying to play that scrub, doing what they can, but phased is anything but. This was an amazing pop-off performance. You named it. They were behind for so long. Garvin does not have the smite available. Maybe Scrub can look for something. Going down under 1,000 gold. Can they finish it? Oh, yeah, there's
Garvin's so low and actually executed there, but it is enough to finish off the Baron. Now the rest of the members are back on the map. Surely we're going to see a reset come out here. Scrug still potentially looking for more, but no, is going to be warded off by the member spawning. It is Baron taken down, and now gold advantage over to Asian Invasion.
All they had to do was scale, and this all critically came off of that one misstep from Verticality. They were ahead and tried to press the issue, but when they fell, the other members of Chaotic Surge could not do anything. So many kills went in their favor, the gold influx, and then immediately after spending that gold, another too aggressive overstep. Now we try to run, Yusuf in the solo lane. This is not a fight you win, buddy.
It is not. An excellent parry going on. That Scatter the Weak 2 is going to make Yusuf a non-issue in this side lane. Now we try to run using their abilities well, and here comes the 3-stack in the mid lane looking to grab more towers. Those were two crucial team fights that got Asian Invasion back into the game. Verticality playing so well throughout the majority of the game, but two crucial mistakes were all that was necessary necessary to find the comeback.
Things
Now they're
still
looking for the
happen.
Bush camp. Dark Torch
Oh.
SVNN is going to get spotted out, though. The Amumu Sejuani not going to find the CC chain there to kick off the team fight. Now we will see the sole contest in just half a minute here. All members are going to be available on the map.
Teleport into mid lane.
Senders are available too. Yeah, a bit of a scuffle here. Both teams starting to position.
Yeah, the positioning looks like it is going to be claimed first from Asian Invasion. This is a dragon that you do not need to fight for if you're a Chaotic Surge. You have Soul Point, you do not need to force the issue. But will Dark Torch still look for it? They might look for it, but here goes Violent Chill.
Yeah, Violent Chill immediately CC though and barely gets off the tomb, but surely they are going to go down, and yes, it is. The CC is good onto face, but they live for the moment. Garvin is the one getting aggressed on now. Two great CC chains there is going to find it, and that means crucially the Infernal Soul is going to go over to Chaotic Surge.
Asian Invasion had the positioning advantage, but did not opt to fight at the dragon. They thought that they had enough gold to just straight up 5v5 Chaotic Surge, but as you saw, that was not the case. They played aggressively into the jungle and then just let Chaotic Surge take the fight that they wanted in their jungle with their engage and 5v5, and they won it. They also won the soul. Now the dragon soul is theirs. 0 dragons. It felt like Asian Invasion could have just played more respectfully and controlled at the dragon, forced the issue at the objective, but instead thought that they could take the fight to Chaotic Surge, but it turned in their face.
Yeah, Violent Chill thinking that they saw the angle there, wanted the team fight, wanted things to start off after a series of spectacular victories, but CC after CC after CC shut down that Lissandra, made sure that they were going down. Elise was caught out after, and there was just no way to contest in the 3v5 afterwards.
Yeah, the advantages that Asian Invasion have found have been off of oversteps and over committals from Chaotic Surge, but they are not doing that, and now Dark Torch might be able to find something, and the rest of the team is nowhere to be found. That's
Yeah,
going to be a
we
free
tried
kill
to
over.
run unable to escape that situation. There is
Now
a
look
counter
mid.
trying to come into the mid lane. We do have many members of Asian Invasion going here. The Shurelias is used, pushing now onto the inhibitor tower. The members of Chaotic Surge just won. Yusuf backing here
It's just
early
a
on.
race
The
race.
minion wave is gone though,
No
and it
one's
is so
resetting.
long before the next one going. And yeah, it is going to be Verticality, Banjito, and Dark Torch counter pushing in this bottom lane. Who will be available to come back for the hold? It's going to be the tower going down for free, and surely no one is back in time to hold the inhibitor.
Yeah, blink and you'll miss it. An amazing play out of Chaotic Surge. They were not deterred at all from the pressure in the mid lane. Scrug able to hold it just fine. Now they're forced to run, but look at the teleport. Here comes Violent Chill.
Yeah, Violent Chill wanting to
and we try to
find the-
run.
Yeah, it's a double teleport here. The initial engage is going to go onto Verticality, but the cleanse is good. We tried to run, trying to engage, but the CC chain once again is ready. The flash from Fiora is not going to find it, and now FaZe in the front line. Can they make this fight happen? Scrug is running away. Verticality is here with the culling, doing so much damage, cutting down Jarvan, and now FaZe is going to get caught by the stun. It is all of the members collapsing down. FaZe goes down, and so goes down the hopes of Asian Invasion. Now it is a 5-man push across this open inhibitor, escorting the minion wave. You got to think this is the end of game 1.
Yeah, this might be. Death timers are long enough. They tried to force the issue. Violent Chill, we tried to run. Those teleports were not enough. All 5 members standing strong in the mid lane. The Nexus towers fall, and the Nexus is behind after a faulty mid game. Game number 1 is claimed from Chaotic Surge.
Verticality making up for their missteps earlier. A wonderfully timed cleanse to get themselves out of the CC lock, and the rest of the team was there ready to support, turning it against the solo laners of Asian Invasion there, and the rest of the team fight was good. An impressive game 1 coming out victory going to Chaotic Surge.
And that game was both ways. I mean, I didn't know until those last couple of fights what might have happened. Ultimately, it was the dragon that made the difference in those fights. It felt like the soul that Chaotic Surge was able to pick up gave them the power to push them over the finish line. I thought for a moment Asian Invasion was going to find the turnaround in that game, but they were not able to find that in game number 1.
Yeah, it was looking like the miracle comeback there. There was a moment of hope, but both teams ultimately making mistakes, and Chaotic Surge was able to ride their earlier initiative from the game, find that clean shutout, claim the soul, and claim the game.
An amazing game number one of this best of three potato. I want two more of these. Like, this is the kind of invasion I just want right into my bloodstream. It was chaotic, and there's a surge of energy across that. So what an amazing performance here in this first game. These are some high-level League of Legends, and these games are nail biters. We'll have to see what happens in game number two.
Absolutely. And just hang on, we'll be there with you shortly for the second game draft. I'm hoping for much more of this.
We cannot wait to see. Stay where you're at. It'll be just a quick break while we reset and get ready for draft for game number two of the finals of the Saturday Throwdown tournament. Casted by Llama and Potato, it's going to be Chaotic Surge versus Asian Invasion. We'll see you in a moment. are set and settled for game number 2 of this finals of the Saturday Throwdown tournament. It is Asian Invasion and Chaotic Surge into draft for game number 2.
Yeah, and what a wild game one it was, looking to be certainly lost for Asian Invasion until they brought back a hope of a comeback that was ultimately broken towards the tail end of the game. If game 2 is anything similar, it'll be amazing fun to watch.
It will be, and these teams have opted to stay on the same side of the rift. Asian Invasion took the Elise as a takeaway here. It's not something that they actually play a whole lot of in the jungle, and actually wanting to actually deny the pick. But they say in game number 2, we're not going to try to take it away B1. We're just going to ban it from the... Is that a mid lane or jungle? Maybe a flex pick there, because Yusuf has been playing a lot of it mid lane, but... Or who is the mid laner? But I don't know if they would have ever taken it mid.
Yeah, it did seem like more of a takeaway originally, but now it looks like they might be more looking to play their own game. The Kindred fan actually also coming out against Chaotic.
And that is, I say corrected. Yusuf does play Elise mid, by the way. So, and has played some top lane of it. So this is actually a ban away for the Elise mid tech that Yusuf does pilot. So that's what they've gone to. And as you mentioned, the Kindred and now Fiddlesticks as well. Dark Torch, one of their most played. But it does leave their most played 44 games of Viego on the table still for Chaotic. We'll see if Dark Torch does opt for that. But the Amumu game was amazing from them. So we'll have to see if they go back to something similar. But Chaotic Surge won game number 1, and they're not changing any of their first 3 bans. But Asian Invasion will have to pick something else first as that priority pick.
Yeah, and these 3 bans rather targeted. We tried to run certainly a Riven Enjoyer. Caitlyn Varys was something that FaZe was playing almost exclusively throughout this season. But now we're going to have to see what else they are going to be able to bring up. This is Juani first pick, so a bit of a takeaway as well as a pick, a nice all around to start things off.
And sometimes that cannot be the best thing, and I think we did see that in game number 1 when they took away the Elise, because it just felt like the jungler didn't feel very comfortable on it. It didn't feel like Garvin kind of had much success or found much success on it. And so once again, the Sejuani being taken away, I'll be curious if that is Garvin or if they want to send it top lane, send it we try to run, but they don't have many of those sort of champions in their arsenal here. Maokai an immediate lock-in to take away as well, and one of those premier junglers. And if Nami is locked, I do expect to see a Lucian Nami once again in the bot lane from Chaotic Surge.
Yeah, certainly looking for Maokai, one of those champions that was not available in Game 1, was banned away by Asian Invasion, but in this Game 2 is going to make a presence. We'll see what the response is. Are they going to look for the same bot lane matchup, or are they going to try out something different here?
A lot of different ADCs being offered. It looks like they're just going through the entire tab. So hard to tell what actually might be the lock-in. I don't think these are going to be it. We'll have to see. Some melee options are great. Oh, and it is Samira locked in, which, as much as it seemed kind of interesting, that actually completely stops the Nature's Grasp for Maokai. So can be incredibly strong. And I think that short-range melee attack does count for the Sejuani passive. I don't have confirmation on that, though. But this looks like Asian Invasion looking to go hard in this second game.
They want to take the fight to the chaotic bot laners here. Samira paired with a CC support. It does look to be the Nautilus going to be the last second swap back here. They want to find their windows into Lucian Nami. And yes, that's Samira W able to block the Nature's Grasp, the Tidal Wave, a lot of potential targets there.
Yeah, there really are, and I do expect the Lucian to be kind of the pick up here. So they're probably just talking about what the second half round is going to look like, because they're looking to play something maybe more... Oh, but who needs a Lucian? They're playing Nami Draven here in the second match. That's a champion that also needs resources. This could be a volatile bot lane.
It is both of these ADCs known for their snowball potential. Whichever bot lane comes ahead here will make the other one suffer. We might see an instance where both junglers are going to look to path bot here, certainly seeming like the strong side of the map for both these teams.
Yeah, but also neither jungler did opt for like a super early aggressive ganking jungler. Both of them have ways to really initiate and press the matter. I think specifically Maokai, I mean, you just have, Twisted Advance. You just flash press W, and now that character is not moving anymore. So there are ways to press the issue, but also both these junglers, like, they're not like the Lee Sin or the Elise or some champions that just want to be on the map and spam ganks, because they both need to clear their jungle to get gold and really impact later on. But a lot of mid lane bans taken away. I'm not surprised to see that. For the mid lane, it is going to be a Syndra banned away from game number 1. Yusuf had a great Syndra game. We'll have to see what they look for next as another ban. It might be a top laner from Chaotic. They picked away Sejuani, we saw game number 1, but instead just 4 mid lane bans here in this second half of draft. I'm not surprised to see too much of that, and we'll have to see with Azir open if that's what Chaotic moves toward.
Yeah, Azir opened it for the first time, was banned away in the previous game, so see, it does look immediately to be the pickup here. We'll see what the answer is. Victor, sometimes the handshake pick to trade with it, but was banned away by Asia Invasion themselves this time around. What will the response be?
Yeah, it is a little bit strange, right? You just mentioned that typically Victor is the response into a blind Azir pick because it can just scale very well alongside Azir, but gives up some lane pressure. But they banned Azir in game 1, and then they say, we don't want you to pick Victor blind or hold it for 5 potentially as a counter pick. So they had to have something prepared for it, and it looks like it is the Zed pickup from Violent Chill. That is Violent no chill with that kind of pickup, and this is a whole melee squad that Asian Invasion is locked in.
Yeah, it's going to be so many of these procs coming in. This Zed Azir matchup, I'm immediately taken back to MSI of years yonder where Faker's Azir got taken down by Zed. Zed, not a champion we've seen in the competitive meta for a little while now, but Jack's certainly a champion that has made a surge recently.
And Jack's definitely a champion, as you mentioned, that has been really picking up steam with that kind of rework, I guess you could call it. Some of those abilities changing just a little bit for that champion here. Violent Chill, it is their 3rd most played following Diana and Karma for Violent Chill. I don't love the stats this season, at least, though, Potato. I'm seeing a 23% win rate over 13 games with a 1.8 KDA. They're getting a lot of kills, but not a lot of, there's quite a few of deaths as well, I guess I should say. This is also, this is a player that has been sitting Diamond for a few seasons now. But currently Diamond 4, so one of the low players on the team. And in the do or die situation, they are putting a lot of trust in the Zed pickup to go into Azir. Because Asian Invasion, they really need to win this game to stay alive.
Yeah, we do have some prime targets for Zed to ulti here. Several people that can fairly easily be popped, assuming that the Chaotic members are not going to be layering CC down. So we'll see if the patience, if the timing is there. Violent Chill in that previous game, crucially towards the very end there, a bit of a misstep at the dragon going in a little too early. If they are able to find the correct windows, they might be able to become a difference maker in the second game.
This second game, remember, this is a best of 3, so it is all on the line now for Asian Invasion. They showed signs of hope, they showed some great cohesion, and I think they showed ways that they can really win this game as well. The challenges in that first game were just how far ahead the bot lane got from that early game. It really was a win based on Banjito and verticality in the bot lane. I mean, it was just this Lucian taking their money from FaZe there. Like, that is that school bully begging for the lunch money there. And they took it themselves. So I'll have to see with Draven. That's a very similar aggressive pick from verticality. We'll see if they can make the same aggressive plays happen in the bot lane, or if Tamir and Nautilus. Let's see what kind of aggression they can match in bot side.
Yeah, it seems like all eyes will likely be on this bot lane matchup here. Could be a game-defining matchup as the rest of these final picks are going to start getting locked in.
Yeah, with the picks are locked in. I do like the Gwyn for We Tried to Run as well. Like, this is not just the split push champion, but Gwyn can be a premier frontliner who does a lot of damage in team fights. When Gwyn is immune and you can throw out those needles, that can just shred your team. So all 10 champions now locked in the Rift, and they are preparing their loadouts here for game number 2 now between Asian Invasion, Chaotic Surge, best of 3. Prediction is live. Let us know who you think. Who will win game number 2? Will Asian Invasion take us to game 3? Chaotic Surge finish an undefeated tournament, going 4-0 and claiming the finals. Let us know. We'll see you in a moment. back onto the Rift for game number 2 between Asian Invasion and Chaotic Surge. And it looks like it is Asian Invasion invading themselves. They might be looking for a 5-stack, but all 5 members are there.
Not a 5-point anymore. There's the Na'Vi bubble into Jackstun. Absolute disaster of an evasion to start out this level was Scrug, and we tried to run both getting down, but Scrug gets the flash out. It is going to be a 3-for-0, a double kill going over to Draven, a firecracker of a game 2 introduction.
Wow, Asian Invasion invaded and fell for it. That is 2 kills. Oh my, verticality, level 1 with a noon quiver, Potato?
That is looking just a little bit unplayable for this severe Nautilus lane. They had it in their eyes, they saw the CC opportunity, but the incredible bait bush camp there, the bait pings going out onto the top lane for once actually signifying a good bait, waiting patiently there and being rewarded richly for it.
Yeah, this is where you type remake question mark in the chat here. Game number 2, 2,000 gold deficit, and it's not even 2 minutes in. As you said, this bot lane is completely unplayable by FaZe and Goach. All they need to do now is just not die for 40 minutes.
Yeah, verticality once again set up with an incredible early lead, but it was looking like that in the previous game. Zeri, of course, did have the scaling for the advantage, but we'll see. Can FaZe and Ghost turn this around at all? Both junglers actually starting bot side this time, so there will be no early pathing down to this bot lane.
Yeah, but Goach and FaZe, like, these are 2 champions on the Samira and Nautilus that kind of need to play aggressive and go in. They're short-range dueling champions who have damage, but you're literally Doran's Blade versus Noon Quiver. Like, you will never win a fight. You just don't have damage. Another ADC has a flash available, so that might impact it, but I mean, Garvin has to be playing into the bot side because, like, you need to try to get something moving, and it looks like they're going to be doing exactly that. Garvin already 3 camps moving bot. We thought they might have full cleared, but now on a pink ward, we'll see if they can make a play happen bot.
The only way they turn is with jungler assistance, but the pink ward spots them out. There is the flash. Nautilus, the target is good. It goes on the Draven, but look at the Draven damage here. They want to turn it back onto Garvin. The stun comes out, but the cleanse is there for verticality. Mangito is going to be the one taking down verticality, now walking forward in a 1v3, knowing that the CC abilities are down. A nice reprieve, but the kill goes over to the Sejuani too, and that does mean Dark Torch is going to be able to invade this top side.
With every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, and a great response from Dark Torch. After Benjito falls in the bot lane, it means that Dark Torch knows exactly the pathing from Garvin and will just deny now that top side. Sejuani needs to be getting levels, and now resetting. They have no camps to clear except the wolves available. Great response and read on the map, but again, it's not the target you want to see the gold on. Verticality staying alive and a lot committed. We'll see what they can make happen.
Yeah, the shutdown had to go onto the Draven there. It was both summoners expended. The Ignite is still available for the Nautilus, as is the Hex Flash. So there is still a possibility of a crucial CC catching out and being the difference maker there. Both junglers now running into each other on the top side. Maokai was able to get a significant advantage off the sacrifice Sejuani had to make to try and stabilize that bot lane.
Yeah, that stabilization helps at least, but it is anything but being close still. I mean, Asian Invasion very much on the back foot after that engage. And Sejuani, with only just taking that 1 camp again, they're going to be down quite a bit of farm, but I expect the pressure to keep going back down there. As you said, the reprieve needs to be there to try to even it up. Otherwise, Verticality and Manhito will just destroy this lane. Now, Garvin down here bot side. Second time now. Can Goach find it?
Yeah, there's the Hex Flash. Nautilus waiting patiently to walk up. The Draven is going to be found here. Crucially, the shutdown going on to FaZe. Well executed there. Violent Chill and Yusuf going to find each other in the river, trying to prevent that Azir roam to help out with the bot lane. Now, Garvin there to help assist, but a nice slide and glide is going to take Yusuf to safety. No kill to be found in the mid lane.
And the shutdown on the correct target this time, and it was also killing the correct target. That was a shutdown already. Verticality falls and is shut down. A bonus 150 gold to Samira, And now this bot lane is back to close to parity, right? Like, looking at the gold difference, you're only 300 after the Noon Quiver start. So a great way to do that. And I think ultimately it was not respected enough. Banhito did not ward deep enough, fast enough. And then Garvin, they knew they didn't have a top side. So they just took one camp and ganked bot once again, and it worked out.
Yeah, intelligent play and good adjustment off of that level 1 disaster, knowing that bot lane had to be in their sights, had to stabilize that if they were going to have any chance of success there. Made the gank, blew the summoners, came in with the repeat, got the shutdown onto the correct target here, but now it's going to be 3 members looking at this Mountain Dragon. Dark Torch wants to push the advantage here. Azir also getting priority and roaming down. It looks like it's likely going to go over for free.
With the priority, they do get this first dragon. Goach might want to try to force the rotation to be back, but flash over the wall.
Yeah, Flash Twisted Advance there is going to catch out Goach. It was not their place to check it, and now another kill going over to the Straven. Not the result they would like to see.
You know, Goach was playing patiently, but they knew that dragon was down. The mid lane did not have priority, and there was a numbers disadvantage. Goach crucially falls for the second time, and Verticality picks up their third kill, and now a plate on top of it. Garvin is hovering down here, but I don't think the 2v2 is going to go in their favor. We'll see if they can make it happen.
They want to make it happen. The CC chain starts out. Here is, can they get the passive proc onto Verticality? They do. And now Banjito is going to be sitting me unless Dark Torch has something to say about it. Going on to face still level 5. Does not have the ultimate, but does pick up the kill. Well played from the Asian Invasion bot lane jungler duo, picking up some additional resources to swing the matchup here. And now they want to find it onto Dark Torch solo on this Maokai. A nice knockback is going to disengage Garvin for a moment, but FaZe picking up another one there. The numbers are there, the reinforcements are there, and thus the play is there.
And the shutdown is there too for FaZe now. They have a 300 gold shutdown for themselves after a disaster of a level 1. FaZe has come back swinging. Now 300 gold bounty on their heads, and some great camp from the bot side. We tried to run is just sitting back and taking the farm, and Garvin is unrelenting in ganking this bot lane over and over and over again.
And that is the target they needed in their sights. Now we tried to run, and Scrug aggressing onto each other. Scrug forced the flash away from that final Gwyn are so powerful if those needles connect. And that 2,000 gold lead we talked about at 2 minutes has entirely evaporated.
Amazing way to counter back in this early game. And also counter back the mentals. Like, that can be a completely over game in a solo queue environment where you just say, all right, 15, let's try next, right? But this is the finals of the Throwdown tournament, Potato. There is no FF15. There is no go next. It is only now, and it is only win if you're Asian Invasion. They've done a great job capitalizing. Now Dark Torch able to get down there, but that's the power of the Samira. Now they're going to try to get on Dark Torch.
We talked about the dredge line just barely going to miss, but the Hex Flash is there, doesn't quite get over the wall, so the play is going to be over. They're 3-3 on the bot lane, neither side finding it there. But yeah, that's the beauty of competitive, right? You get to coordinate with your team, you get to look for these plays together to find a way back into the game and back into the game they have gone.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's still far from over. It is early on in this match. FaZe and Goach doing a good job holding the wave, forcing the early aggression. Dark Torch has stayed down here and now trying to force a crash. Garvin is going to be showing on the mid lane, and they get the stun.
Yeah, the CC is good. Go on to Yusuf there. The Zed ulti also going to prevent the shove back from Azir. Wonderful execution in that mid lane to pick up the kill onto Yusuf and start Violent Chill going in the mid lane.
Violent Chill gets the kill, is down farm, but is doing great to get that one for themselves. An even gold lead mid. We tried to run just farming, but now Garvin topside, no ultimate available, no ignite, and but about to have the needlework available, no flash on Scrug.
Yeah, flashless Jax there, 2 stacks of the Sejuani passive, 3 stacks and 4. There is the stun. The Gwyn R3 is going to miss, but it doesn't matter. There is a sufficient amount of damage to finish it out. Scrug also going to fall in the top lane. Garvin making their presence known across the map here. A hook barely missing onto verticality there. It might have meant certain death, but some nice footwork going to allow for the dodge.
Coach will hit level 6 on this next wave too, and so we'll have to see when the depth charge is available. As it is now, if they want to go, they look, but the dredge line does not land. Still now, verticality playing on the back foot. Top side, Snip is down. No ultimate, no way to run. Scrug, he might be getting this kill gifted over, and he does. Gwyn tried to run, but was not able to find the...
Yeah, Dark Torch finding the counterplay in the top lane there, giving over some much needed resources over to Scrug. We tried to run without the ultimate available, did not have the resources to turn that fight, and now that's going to be a wave denied and a play going over to Scrug.
Absolutely, and so much impact from both these games from the jungler role. Potato, take a look. 7 out of 7 kill participation for Garvin. 5 out of 5 skill participation for Dark Torch. These players are playing to their win conditions. The junglers are impacting every lane and getting kills for it, and no kills on their map are happening without this intervention from the jungle. So wherever a jungler is, people might be dying, but some great movements from both of these junglers. The Radiant Virtue completed early on for Garvin now. We'll see how that can impact these next fights because the dragon has spawned and Dark Torch already setting up vision in the area.
Yeah, the second dragon certainly might be a point of contest. Asian Invasion do have the TP advantage in the top lane as well. 3 mythics completed on their side to 0, but it does not look like Scrug cares for that at all. Just absolutely running down this Gwyn in the top lane. It is the dragon going to be started up for Chaotic Surge here. It's going to be spotted out. Is the contest going to be timely? It doesn't look like their members can make it over, and now it is Garvin going solo into the pit, committing the ultimate. There is the Nautilus going in too, but the follow-up is not there. Samira has not yet arrived, but now here is phased. Can they turn it around, or will it be verticality on the other end? The dredge line hitting onto Yusuf there. Dark Torch is going to be the first one going down. Phase now onto a rampage. Smite down onto verticality. Flash, verticality aggressing back onto Garvin, is going to look for the ultimate. The execute not quite there. Now Monolith on the Draven would mean the end of the fight, but it is Dragon going over to Chaotic Surge.
Whirling Death does not find its mark. No execution there. 1 kill only on the Dark Torch, the only member falling in that entire fight, but they lose the dragon still. So it is going to be the first 2 dragons claimed for Chaotic Surge. Now it is going to be the tower that is aggressed on. Phased used Flash in that fight, but so did Verticality. Both ADCs now very vulnerable in this next fight, and when ultimates come back up, I expect there to be even more action in the bot side.
Yeah, the intention might fall to the bot lane again, and the dragon there just seemed to be a bit of a discrepancy in the reset timer. Chaotic Surge taking advantage of the fact that the members of Asian Invasion were not yet there back on the map. It seemed like the fight should have favored them, should break out at the same time with even numbers, but the timing was there, and so the objective was theirs to take.
And now it is at the point where 14-minute mark has hit, and that means that the plates have fallen. Now it's going to be easier to start shredding some of these towers, but both teams yet to take a single standing tower. Garvin just hovering around to the top side, and the Rift Herald is available, but neither jungler really opting to play for that. Even with towers falling, lane assignments are staying the same, and items being completed across the board. Nearly every player now having their mythic, with the exception of the supports now. And we'll see now on this reset that is going to be the Demonic Embrace. But with the reset timer and the priority in the top side, Garvin and Reed tried to run. Happy to take this Rift Herald.
Yeah, the Herald is started up. Dark Torch not in the area. Scrug briefly looking like they wanted to move, but not going to do so. And now it is Goach looking onto verticality. The bubble is dodged, but so is the dredge line. These single abilities can have such an impact in these fights, but fortunately no kill is going to be found.
They are both looking aggressively there. Now Garvin forced to disengage. Like you said, one ability can be the difference maker for either player. Phased has more defensive resources available by having their W. That's going to block things like the Nami Tsunami, that tidal wave coming over the top. That can block that. Blade World can also stop things like the Whirling Death or even the Stand Aside from Draven. So much ability to kind of peel there. And both these players have completed items and now some additional AD. Violent Chill looking mid.
Yeah, Garvin engaging, and this is the power of the Zed ultimate. Once
Ooh.
again, dodging away from the Azir ulti. Their Dark Torch now going to try and look for a bit of a trade back onto Garvin, but this is a tanky Sejuani. There is not going to be a trade found. Another pickup on this Azir. This Zed showing its usefulness, waiting out these Azir ultimates, and then finding the ultimate in response for the second time now.
Solo queue stats be damned. Violent Chill showing up here in the mid lane. Herald's going to be dropped, and they might be looking for the tower. A dive is going to be hard, but it might just be the first tower of the game going down. Ocean Garvin, though, dying.
Longer there. There were no more minions left, so the tower turns onto the Sejuani and gives a bit of a free kill over. Now Dark Torch is going to be looking for Violent Chill. This might be a double kill pickup for the Maokai. A shutdown going over while the top laners trade into each other.
1, 4, 3. 3 members of Asian Invasion hit the ground, but now Goach looking bot side once again. They're going to go into verticality.
Yeah, that is the ultimate to start things off. A great Samira W blocks the tidal wave. Surely verticality is going to go down there. Oh no, does manage to run a little faster than Faced can catch up. But where are you going to escape here? There are no other members coming back to reinforce just yet. Looking for the execute, but the timing is not going to be right.
Oh, it is!
Oh, no, it is! Wow, I did not think enough time would have passed. But now Dragon spawning in 22. Verticality is going to have to sprint on over if they are going to want to make the objective in time. Phased and Goach have not found their reset yet. The Nautilus ulti is not going to be available just yet either. This third dragon, this soul point, is surely going to be a contest for these two teams. How are they setting up for it?
Both teams want this dragon. For Asian Invasion, it means stopping the soul stack. For Chaotic Surge, it means 1 dragon away from their soul. However, it is going to be Asian Invasion, the first one there, and without Draven on the map, it means this first Chemtech dragon of that soul will be claimed from Asian Invasion and stop. Oh, I should have waited until it died, because that Whirling Death almost picked it up. But it is the Chemtech dragon, secured from Asian Invasion.
Yeah, a very close Whirling Death there. Scrug did have the TP available there, whereas We Tried to Run did not, so the Gwen had to rotate down to the mid lane. It was the top tower traded in response, but it is soul point denied, and that is going to have an impact. Now, a wave starting to crash in here. They want to find the dive onto verticality. Verticality does get the flash. Sejuani looks for the ultimate, but the TP from Jax is going to be not there. It is going to be the Azir coming in instead. Yusuf wants to get the shuffle in, does find it. Now it is Garvin dodging out for the rest of the CC chain. Dark Torch looking for the chase, not going to find it. 4 members on each side disengaging from each other in the bottom lane. The tower is going to be taken here for Asian Invasion.
The tower's taken, but no kills fall. Verticality has to use the flash to run. I thought that I saw teleport from Scrug as well, but I think they were just teleporting into the top lane instead. So are just going to reset there. We Tried to Run, did not commit their own teleport to join. And so all the members are staying alive here, but after the 3 kills at level 1 for Verticality, they have gone 0 and 3 since then. So not receiving many more resources since then. Currently, the amount of Adoration stacks just at 96, less than 100 Adoration stacks available for them. So they keep dying, they're not stacking them up now, and still the shutdown keeps growing on FaZe. Has done a great job to counter the bot lane aggression in that marksman role.
Yeah, Draven a little bit bullied by the movements of the rest of the team. This Nautilus and Sejuani showing the value of their knockdown.
Oh, they
going to miss once again. Sejuani looking for the flash engage, not going to find it. The Nature's Grasp once again going to get denied by but there is the second dredge line. Now Draven is in their size. Verticality going to be instantly taken down, and that is the Maokai going to get rooted as well. FaZe is now ready to go. Tower dive flashes in for the finish onto Nami. A bit of style there. Finding the shutdown once again. Now unstoppable. A huge shutdown on their head. Jax is here in the area, but unable to stop this. Now it's going to be 3 members looking for this mid tower push.
Well, Yusuf try to hold the tower, might be challenging to do so. Scrug is here too, though, in a 2v4. Do they want it? So many ultimates expended, but critically, Garvin has the Glacial Prison back off cooldown. But without the tower, the 3 kills, they will take that for absolutely nothing in return. Yusuf trying to deny those backs and delay the resets. But that's a great advantage and a great find if you're Asian Invasion.
Yeah, Asian Invasion looking for that constant aggression, these constant engages onto that vulnerable Draven without the flash available, just able to get picked on time and time again, shot down time and time again. But now here are the members looking for a bit of a scuffle on the top side, not quite going to find much.
Both teams kind of just trying to draw battle lines where they have vision and where they have pressure.
Yeah,
Oh,
Violent
this
Chill
is a
wants it onto
1v2.
Yusuf
Violent
again.
Chill.
Eagle is there to support as well. A nice dodge on the bubble, but the damage is sufficient. Violent Chill going to go down in a 1v2 there, not knowing that the Nami was able to support. And now Baron is being pinged by 4 members of Chaotic Surge. They want to find the turnaround in this game, just like Ancient Invasion found it in the previous game off of a pick.
And We Tried to Run does not have teleport critically to and is unable to join the fight. They are in the pit and Garvin has ultimate. They're going to try to stop it. Maybe they can look for the steal.
It will be a 5v3. The Glacial Prison is going to miss. Baron Nashor is
Oh,
taken
this
down,
is
and Scrug is there in the action. Garvin, the first one in their sights. The shutdown going. Flash, Twisted Advance is going to find FaZe. FaZe not going to be able to turn it around. A huge shutdown going over to the Azir. 2 in a row now. That's going to be a lot of resources funneled right back towards Chaotic Surge. Dragon in a minute. Baron in their hands. Can they use this for the turn?
This might be the sole point. That was not only the Baron, but it was an additional 3 kills that they picked up early on. Violent Chill forcing the issue and going down for it. A critical mistake cost the team the Baron. We thought that Garvin was going to look for the steal, but could not find their way into the pit. And the continued chase caused FaZe to fall and cash in that shutdown. This Dragon hitting the Rift in 20 seconds. I don't think there is anything that can be done if you are Asian Invasion, but they are in the area. They are wanting to fight, but the members are so slow. Ultimate's not quite off cooldown yet, but a lot of them are going to be here in just a minute. I think this is a very dangerous play for Asian Invasion to take, but they might want to take it anyways.
Yeah, they're positioning like they want it here. Dragon is going to get started up by Chaotic Surge, but these Maokai saplings putting down the hurt, these double burn items going to start doing the damage. The Glacial Prison goes out, but the catch is not there. Scrug now wants to look for it. A lot of CC going out on both sides. Scrug engaging into the backline. The stun is going to be found onto Gulch, and now it's the members just absolutely melting. Asian Invasion is going to start going down. Violent Chill unable to join in time. That is 2 members falling already. Now, Chaotic is going to turn back onto the Dragon, going to pick up their soul point, the reward for that teamfight win.
That is a great reward if you are Chaotic Surge. I thought Asian Invasion was just going to give them the soul, but they thought they still had the numbers to fight it. However, FaZe critically not hitting that Style S rank and unable to get the ultimate off. And without that damage from Inferno Trigger onto the backline of Chaotic Surge, it is so challenging to have enough damage in these fights. And it's like, it's Violent Chill, it's FaZe, those are your damage dealers. And now it's so hard to get them to do the damage to kill the targets, and verticality is the target that you gotta be focusing first.
Yeah, previously the fights had been successful because those big CC abilities have hit crucial members. The chain was there and Samir was there for the cleanup, but in that Dragon they did not have the control. The Glacial Prison was not able to land onto a priority target. The CC chain was not able to get started, and the members of Asian Invasion just had their health bars absolutely eviscerated by the opposing team.
And that is the Baron expiring in just about 10 seconds. So the Dragon was their prize as well as the team fight. The gold lead within 1,500. It is a disadvantage for Asian Invasion now, but that is not going to stop them from playing aggressively. The inner tower falls as well, but now as these players are collapsing, they might be looking for a play, but their Azir tower is there critically. Garvin is on the side. They're looking for the fight.
Yeah, Gwen is flanking. The CC goes on to Yusuf there. We try to run in the thick of things. The Azir ultimate is there for the disengage. Verticality is hammering onto Gwen, but Gwen is able to... But another dredge line, but a nice stand aside is going to stop the Sejuani engage from being successful. Draven is able to survive another day, and the pull back on that whirling death there, going to put verticality on a killing spree. A wonderful series of ability usages there to find the advantage for their team.
This is the challenge if you are Asian Invasion, is you have to play aggressively. But I didn't see Violent Chill in that fight once again. I don't think they were able to even find a backline access on any member. Even after the dredge line landed, Goach still pays the price. The Whirling Death is named just that. And now it's still challenging. They do not want to give any more pressure. These saplings, these kittens are being tossed out from Dark Torch, going for the full AP build. And it's going to be so challenging at this point to find the team fight advantage when you're at a deficit. The timer is ticking because their soul for Chaotic Surge is spawning in just 2.5 minutes. Oh
Yeah,
my!
Scrug just completely obliterates Violent Chill there in the side lane. 2 levels down for that Zed, walking up a little bit close to this Jax on 2 items. A terror of a force to deal with in the side lane.
Another wave crashing in. Will they be able to hold the base? We tried to run now, resetting. Numbers disadvantage fight will not be good for your team. Here comes them just to zone it out with the Nature's Grasp. That just is going to mean the inhibitor is there going to be a fight afterwards. Violent Chill, so 15 seconds on that death timer. It is going to be Chaotic Surge just resetting. They take the prize, they get the kill, they get the inhibitor. The base is starting to break, and so is Asian Invasion here in the second game.
Yeah, a nice series of plays off of the back of that Jax there. Asian Invasion not opting into the 5v4. Likely a wise decision there. Baron now available in 45 seconds. Both teams might have that in their sights. A bit of jungle reclaiming here for the members of Asian Invasion, trying to wrest back a bit of vision control off of the reset.
This is the do or die now. You got to be as strong as you can at this dragon fight, but they're not even setting up for the dragon. They're trying to get a pick on a verticality. They might have found it.
Tracking the red buff, the CC chain goes on, starts on the Draven. The shutdown is good. Scrug is there though. What can they do? FaZe is starting to stack up the style, but gets critically low. It is going to be Gulch going down on the opposite side, and now Scrug is in full chase mode, is going to start running down on Garvin. The flash forced out, but Jax is relentless, continues to want it. The Baron is spawned. Will they turn for the objective or continue to chase for the fight? Looks like they want the Baron here. 3 members remaining on the top side of this map for Asian Invasion against the 4 of Chaotic Surge. Baron now at half HP. They look for the angle. Garvin does have Smite available, wants to see the steal. A ward is going to spot it out. Smite fight is going to go to Dark Torch, and that would mean that Garvin is going down now. Baron claimed for the second time for the Chaotic Surge members, and now it's going to be Dragon Soul in 30 seconds. These objectives do not give these teams breathing room. Resets coming out now already. Members filtering back onto the map. Engage goes on to We Try to Run, but that will be all for now.
All 5 members getting back on the map so quickly. Scrug is here with the teleport. This is a 5v4 once again. We have seen Violent Chill just in the bot lane trying to get the pressure out, but now they are low. They need to look for something. Engage onto Scrug.
Yeah, trying to look for Scrug there, but forced to use that more of an escape tool as they were getting collapsed on by the remaining members' objective bounties now out for Asian Invasion. Chaotic Surge looking for the dragon, looking for the soul.
Garvin just out of base right now. They will not be there for the smite. Scrug in trouble. Goach might be looking in. The soul is claimed, and all 5 members live to tell the tale. They are down a Baron. They are down a soul. Asian Invasion with their backs against the wall, and now they gotta run.
Yeah, that's the nature scrap. Scrub is going to be the one in the front line, immediately engaging onto FaZe, falling right away, and you've got to think that's going to mean the rest of the team fight. We Try to Run is going to get engaged on by Dark Torch, taken down by that members CC, and now there's going to be a wave in the bot lane that they're going to try and play through. 3v5 on the map. Scrug as menacing as ever, escorting these supers in. There is no wave clear available. This could be the last push.
They might look to force now. It is still 10 seconds on FaZe to hit the map. Once again, the first Nexus Tower in trouble. Now onto the second. The minions are here. They got to make a stand now, but they're just sitting in their base. The Nexus will fall.
No hold available, and that is game 2 going to Chaotic Surge. A brilliant level 1 that turned into a situation where it looked like they might be in trouble, but Scrug in that silent, gathering up resources, gathering up power, finding some crucial picks against the members of Asian Invasion, and then that mid lane pick onto the Zed into the Baron, and it was a closeout from there.
both teams feeling like so small mistakes will decide these matches. Game number 1, back and forth once again. And unfortunately, Violent Chill, with a couple of key blunders in this series, did give this 2-0 series win to Chaotic Surge. These games were close. They were hard fought. They were fought to the bitter end. But ultimately, a 2-0 Chaotic Surge taking the series and taking the tournament for this Throwdown tournament.
Close indeed, and it is a privilege to see how much these teams can eke out of these small individual missteps. But Chaotic Surge were the winning team on the day, finding that 2-0 victory, closing out both games against Asian Invasion.
Chaotic Surge with a perfect tournament. They won both games and then 2-0'd the finals, not dropping a single Nexus throughout this entire Throwdown tournament today on Style Esports. And Asian Invasion as well. Gotta give big props to them. They fought hard. They made it through the bracket, but were just that short to make the finals. Huge congrats to Chaotic Surge, because a well-earned, completely dominating the entire bracket start to finish, and they will be our Throwdown tournament champion.
Yeah, absolutely a well-fought series. It was a pleasure to watch, a pleasure to cast, and a pleasure to see how these two teams of such a high caliber went at it with each other, turning around situations, finding advantages, closing out these games. It was a fun night.
It was a great night for those that were here throughout the entire Throwdown tournament today on Style Esports. We are grateful that you were here to watch these games along with us. We saw some amazing performances from all these teams throughout, and it was a great afternoon of gaming. For Style Esports this evening, that is going to do it for myself, Llama, and AllOutPotato. We hope you had so much fun today. What an amazing tournament from Style Esports. And again, big congratulations to Chaotic for taking the tournament win here on this Style Saturday Throwdown. So for us at Style, we're going to be jumping out of here. Thank you again. And we will see y'all next time on The Rift on Style Esports.